All right, let's go ahead and start this thing. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Should I Play That? Episode 108, and this is your weekly podcast about video games and the industry and culture that surrounds them. I'm your host, SSJ Blackrod, aka Mr. Muckluck, aka the Great One. And I'm here joined with my two co-hosts, James and Rod. What's good, y'all?
I'm good, Chris. How's it going, my guy?
Oh man, having Chris be the host is literally the best thing ever because it's like I can derive energy from him. He just like kind of just emanates it. It's great.
Mm-hmm. You know what's crazy is that I'm like holding it in because I'm really excited. You want to know why I'm really excited?
Why is that?
Because we have a special guest. We have a special guest in the virtual building, and we got Gamemaster Herb. What's going on?
How's it going? Welcome to my welcome here. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Welcome back, me. Thank you so much. I know I just hit y'all up last week, and I was like, hey, do you want to do another one? And I'm always happy to hear like that you're down for more. I'm glad somebody wants to listen to me talk about fucking games. So.
Hey, listen.
Man, it's been far too long. You said September the last time? We were here?
Yeah. I looked at our notes. It was like September 9th or something.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So
That's insane.
once again, it's great to have you on. And how have you been? Let's formally introduce you to our new listeners and everything. If they don't know who you are, who are you?
So I'm Gamemaster Herb. You may know me from various events around Atlanta, Controllerize, Warp Zone Wednesdays, all kinds of stuff. Prior to the pandemic, I was running basically LGBTQIA safe spaces, arcades, art galleries, food vendors, that kind of thing. You show up, you play games, you have a great time. And well, during the pandemic, I've gone like full force with our Twitch channel, me and my husband's. That is Three Bears Gaming, the number 3 GAY. And we're still going strong. Last week we streamed 6 out of 7 days, which I don't even know how, but that's what I've been up to. That and really just kind of like, we're sort of getting ready to like move here in Atlanta, but just, kind of like upgrade our lives and reassess things and kind of like, all the stuff on your story, Chris, has been like, but we're on the same page.
Hey, listen, and I always feel like I'm putting out like these things. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's SSJ Blackrot on Instagram.
It's gems. It's all gems.
It's like I see inspirational things and I want to just spread it because hearing something like what you just said, Herb. That oh wait, I'm hearing an echo. I think it's someone. Does anybody hear that? It's just me. Okay. But dang, it's bothering me. I it's good to hear that it's actually helping people and not annoying people. Because sometimes I feel bad. I'm like, I posted a lot of like inspirational quotes today, and I feel like people are sick of me.
No. Honestly, well, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Tell your story, man.
Yeah. Honestly, look, there's especially in the LGBTQIA world, it's all like hot takes. That's the entire all of social media for LGBTQ is all like hot takes and sort of this weird mix of almost like self-loathing and self-actualizing kind of stuff going on that I think is sort of a remnant of oppression over the past century, over the past ever. And what I like about what you put out there is it's always like, hey, I hear you, but let's do it positively. Let's move forward. Let's upgrade. Let's keep going further up. And it may sound corny to people. That may turn some people off, but those people are bitter. So fuck that.
Yeah, listen, I feel like once you open up your mind and you like start seeing the good and like the really bad sometimes, like it sort of softens the blow and it just makes life easier. Like it's like a weight off your shoulders. So people that are going through it, and like my secret to like not only is like getting out of depression, but dealing with depression is sort of like self-realizing and knowing that like it's really all in your head. It's just the chemicals in your head that are just all over the place. But if you can sort of acknowledge it and sort of catch the triggers before like they really get you, you could you could get through it. So
I feel it.
Hey, listen. that means tomorrow I'm about to post more. So if you want to see what I was talking about, definitely do that. But before we jump into the show, speaking about social media, I sort of wanted to like move our social media shout outs to the beginning of the show so that everybody could hear it. So pretty much social media and like sharing stuff is super important. It's super important to like spread you know what we're doing, and I feel like more people need to hear us. I feel like this is we're building like a really fun platform to sit back and talk about video games, and I love doing this live. So shout out to our Twitch viewers that are on the stream. Please feel welcome to chat, say some nice things, and I, just to put this out here, if you say, good things that sort of move the conversation along, we'll acknowledge it. We'll talk about it. We'll shout you out. If you say something dumb, then it's going to get ignored. If you say something like, racist, sexist, all that, you're going to get kicked, just straight up. So I wanted to just put that expectation out there because I've been like hopping on people's like Twitch streams lately, and Twitch is something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So Herb, like you being full-time Twitch, like how do you deal with the chat rooms and the community and everything?
So it's funny that you ask, and what you just said. Usually, at the beginning of the stream now, I'm usually kind of like I kind of like say my piece. I'll say, here's what we're doing tonight. Here's our schedule. Here's how I'm feeling today. Here's what's going on. Whatever various things that are going on in the world. And often, especially on Mondays, because it's fight night, I will say, look, if you want to come in here with this kind of hate or whatever, like just be prepared. I will just ban you. Like it's literally one click. It's no big deal. One time not too long ago, I did that, and like that night we had an issue with somebody on voice chat. So it never hurts to repeat it. Sometimes it can be a little tough to deal with chatters, but for the most part, people are just looking to have a good time. People are looking to connect with others. And even if you don't have a cam, because some of like the top streamers don't even have a freaking cam, or they're like streaming off their PlayStation 4. Like it's not even like a whole setup. They don't even have the gear or none of that. And I really think it just comes down to like, connecting with people over this thing that we love. If you can pull that off, and especially if you have a good voice for it, like all of you do here, it really goes a long way, to be honest.
Hey, we're trying to get like you. We're trying to. I don't know about six nights a week, but
not this week. Just last week.
But yeah. So like it's good to be back on Twitch. I promise you guys, YouTube, Facebook, all that stuff. Like I'm streamlining like my workflow so that I could set aside time to like get everything out there, because that's also on me too. So that sort of goes back to like when you see our stuff on social media, share it, shout us out. Like it's all love. We appreciate that.
I think we lost James.
Yeah, he just sent me a text.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his sound went out. So I'm gonna tell him how to fix it. But yeah, sort of wanted to shout that out. Shout out to the people. Herb, you always shout us out on social media, so I appreciate that.
Any chance I can, if I see something, like I'm happy to. I think social media is kind of like, what's the point? I mean, we can watch memes all day, but
exactly.
sharing really is caring.
Exactly. That's so much of the true nature of social media. I think if you guys have just kind of sat back and listened to the volley between you guys, and I mean you all have pretty much nailed it. And I just want to quickly echo what everybody has already been saying. Herb, really appreciate you and your voice. Just in the space, we on Should I Play That try to be as inclusive as possible as we possibly can. Live out those values that we hold. Everything that Chris mentioned about like dropping gems on his Instagram stories. Like, I mean, those are things that Chris actually lives and embodies on the show, and I think we all try to do that. So we hope that our community follows those same guidelines as well.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to be, and this is not invalidating anyone, honestly, because I'm much this way. It's real easy to go online and be like cynical or be like, fuck these people or fuck those people or all that stuff. But I think it's much tougher to stand in the face of that because we're all looking at it. It's not like any of us are exempt from it.
Right.
Especially if you're anybody LGBTQ or anybody who's not white. It's just it's in your face. It's on your mind all the time. And I think it takes a lot of strength and power to stand up and say something positive and try to like uplift people. That really does take a level of strength, especially in the past, in the past Panini, right? Since March of last year, if you're able to stand up and say something positive, like you're already ahead of the game, kind of.
Exactly.
A lot of us are just we're tired,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many like angry versions of this or that like do we need?
Yeah.
So
yeah, the memes are getting crazy dissecting. Like it's like the memes are like turning into these like like 10 levels down of the same exact topic of them explaining it via memes. And sometimes it's just nice to see somebody say like, "Hey, hold on to your energy. Hey, protect your peace."
Right. Exactly.
Yep. So, definitely want to shout that out. Also, I want to shout out all of the audio listeners. Y'all are some solid folks. Like, I think we had maybe a 2-week break, and like as soon as like the episode dropped, I think a couple of hours later we checked, and like the same solid group of people that usually like watch the episode or listen to the episode in the first couple of days, they were like, "Yo, should I play that? It's back." Everybody came in, so shout out to you guys. Really appreciate that. And once again, share the fun, share the podcast on your social media. We really appreciate it. And then of course donations are cool. Anything that gets sent, of course, goes straight into the show because doing this live is hard. Doing this live, swapping between the screens. There's like a lot that goes on, and also for me to host the show, if I'm able to, I would love to have like a producer, and I would love to pay this producer. So just
hint, hint, wink, wink.
I'm just saying. So just putting it out there, y'all. I just want to scale. I feel like once we're able to scale this show, man, we're gonna go somewhere.
Right on. I kind of wanted to, if you don't mind, I have like a small announcement that I'm pretty proud of.
Ooh,
so
okay.
This past Friday was my third, but I started up a FM radio show here in Atlanta. It's on 89.3 FM, which is WRFG. It's once a month or so. It's not on a tight schedule per se, but it's always part of the Rhythm and Resistance show, which is run by my buddy Emil over at WRFG. The whole show is anime and video game music with a focus on that, and then other songs that I just like from people that I either know, like producers via Controllerize or folks here in Atlanta who are making beats, or just songs and stuff that I like that you would never, ever hear on FM. So I had a really good time this past Friday, and like you said, just like streaming, doing live stuff is a lot. I mean, I have 4 screens right here, and I'm like grabbing audio from 4 different sources because it's not all on Spotify, and then you're like doing all this stuff and making sure it links up, and it's a whole thing, So to anybody out there making live content or making anything live, like shouts to you and pat yourself on the back just for getting it out there. Trade perfect for done. You know what I mean? Like as long as it's out there, like enjoy. And yeah, if you happen to be, I think next month it's gonna be probably the last. It's always on a Friday, and it's probably gonna be like the last Friday of the month. But I haven't like finalized it yet. But if you like anime music, if you like video game music, and you want to hear it on the FM radio, which never happens, it just doesn't. I'm there doing it. So just to put it out there.
Congratulations on the show, man. DJ Professor Herb over here. Okay. All right.
And that's dope because anytime we've had you on, like at some point we talk about video game music and like you're dropping names and like referencing stuff, and I was like, all right, Herb knows this stuff.
Yeah.
And then Rod, like you're also going like back and forth. I'm like, wow, like I don't know anybody that they're talking about right now. I know these songs, like they're bangers, but I have no idea who these people are.
There's so many like specifically unsung Japanese composers, especially women. Did you know, just random facts, okay? like 95% of all the music that's ever been in Bomberman is all by one woman.
Really?
Which is incredible because Bomberman is, other than Tetris, I think it's like, and Minecraft, it's like the most widespread franchise. Essentially, any device that can play games, there has been a Bomberman on. The only thing above it is Tetris or Minecraft.
Wow.
But it's like that widespread, and they're about to drop a new one, I think tomorrow. It's like Super Bomberman R Live. It's battle royale. It's like 80-person multiplayer, and it's free to play. And I'm like, okay, Konami, I don't know what you're doing, but all right.
Yeah, they took a break from pachinko machines to release this.
Right. But that's just an example. But yeah, so much of video game music is, first of all, women, and second of all, just Japanese people that, like, we don't hear them, we don't see them, they don't get any publicity. Half of us can't pronounce their names, and they have made like the soundtracks that have like stuck with us our whole lives, you know?
Yeah. I did not know that fact, so now I feel like much richer for having known that now. Like, that's actually really cool, and not something that I would have ever been able to guess.
Yeah. So, while we're still waiting on James to hop back on, like, how's everybody's week going? You know, I see we got 5 people in the chat. So once again, say something. Shout. You know, if you had a great week, shout out like a victory that you had. Let us know. We'll shout you out. But Rod, Herb, what about you guys?
You go ahead, Herb.
I'm having a pretty good week. We're house hunting real hard right now. Not to buy, but just to rent. Trying to kind of like give. Well, first of all, we've been in our apartment for like 6 years, and it's only a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for 3 bears and a cat. And so we're ready. We're ready for like a little bit of an upgrade. We're ready to make, maybe even pay the same price, but just get more bang for the buck. Because y'all know how the apartment game is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been kind of taking up a lot of time. I have some more projects coming up. I've podcasts and various things.
Hey.
I feel pretty good though. I 2 weeks ago I took my first vacation that was longer than a weekend in 5 years. So
well deserved.
Well deserved.
Yeah. So we went to the beach. We went to Daytona. We had a really nice time. Met up with some family, and that was like, all I can say is it didn't really cost very much money. If you have anybody listening, if you have any chance to like spend some time on a beach or in the forest or just like away from the city, away from the noise, away from the traffic, do it. It really helps kind of get you back on track. I came back with like full energy, like, let's plan out 6 days a week. Boom, 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 That's something I have to work on because I kind of assign myself too many things. But just saying, it's amazing what a little recharge can do for you. So I'm feeling fairly good altogether. Yes.
That's good.
Nice, very nice, man. Like we said earlier, that is well deserved. I'm looking forward to taking some kind of vacation at some point. I feel like I have not done any of that or even anything close since this whole pandemic thing started. So if I do, I have to even like probably suss out my own feelings about how I feel about all that. But this upcoming weekend, I think, will be really exciting because I'll get to see. I'll get to hug my family for the first time in a year plus. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. So this whole week has been nothing but work. So I feel like I don't have much exciting on that front. But I think this weekend will be for the long weekend. It will be really nice to break bread with them again. Like actually, touch them, hug them. So that'll be nice. I'm looking forward to that.
I want to say that like it's crazy how like people live in like different realities, even though we're on the same planet. Because look at Atlanta. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Atlanta, who hasn't closed one bit in months. It's like to not see your family, to hug your family in a year, like at this point over a year. Yep. Man, that's tough. Yo, Rod, you need to take a break. You need a like vacation.
It really helps.
Yeah, I need to. I do. I do. That's all I can really say to that.
But James, welcome back.
Yo, sorry about that, everybody.
It's all good. But we're sort of just shouting out our weeks. Anything you want to shout out from your week?
Shoot, this week. No, not really. It's been a pretty chill week, all things considered. I heard something about vacationing. So shout out to all the people traveling right now, getting back to the way things were. Don't get lax, though, please, because we're not out of the woods yet.
Get vax, not lax.
Yes.
That's something I would have.
Yes.
First time.
Yes. Finally, it's wearing off. But yeah, man, listen to the man. He knows. Most definitely. Be safe out there. Go see your loved ones, of course. See them if you haven't seen them in a while. Check on everybody. But my week's been good.
All right, that's what's
Pretty
up.
solid week.
All right, so with that, we're gonna head and jump into the video games, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and start with our what you've been playing, and what that is our. It's I don't even want to call it a segment because it's this like especially today. It's about to be a nice little chunk of the show, but this is where we talk about the video games that we've been playing over the last week. And Herb, we haven't seen you in months, so the floor is yours, Herb.
Oh my gosh!
What you been playing?
All right. So I have 15 games to talk about. I can talk about each of these real quick, but I just think they're all awesome. Are you doing like on-screen stuff with it too?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. So are you gonna go? You want me to go in the order of the page?
Yep.
Okay. So the first game I want to talk about is called Unepic. I was really surprised by this. Basically, if you like Dungeons and Dragons and you like somehow also 2D platformers, you need to play this. It's like you're this dude and you're at like a D&D night with your friends. You're hanging out, and all of a sudden you go to the bathroom, and in the bathroom you get transported to a world a la, lots of 80s television shows and movies, like that kind of vibe. It's a 2D platformer, but it is set up exactly like D&D. You have a gigantic menu. There are so many things to find. It has great pixel art. It has awesome music. It has full voice acting for all the characters. This is one of those games where I'm like, if more people knew about this would have gotten a lot more attention. This probably would have gotten like a lot more love by a lot of people. The video right there really doesn't do it justice, but if you like RPGs, if you like D&D mechanics, if you like good voice acting, if you like 2D platformers, I thought this game was really awesome. I didn't want to stop playing, and I do a thing on our channel, Three Bears Gaming, every Wednesday called 5 Games Under $5, and when I have a hard time putting down a game, that's how I know, okay, I got to mark this one down as like this. People need to check this out.
Yeah.
It's also huge. Like, I didn't realize how huge it was going to get. That's all I can say. So yeah, that's Unepic. And then we have a game called Vandals. Let me know, Chris, if I need to.
Oh, you're good.
Let me know. I don't want you to have to rush or nothing. So Vandals is a very, very simple game, but it's kind of like sort of a stealth real-time strategy game where you play this this sort of like, well, you play a graffiti artist in different cities around the world, and you have to sort of outwit the cops and make it over to a section in each level where you can spray paint. And like Jet Set Radio, you can do your entire own spray paint, and whatever image you come up with is exactly what comes on the screen.
I'm so in. This game looks incredible, by the way.
Yeah, it's really simple. I think I only got it was like $3.99 at the time when I got it, but all I'm gonna say is I've played a lot of like stealth-like games and stuff like this. This one really stood out, especially if you don't like cops, and especially if you enjoy graffiti. I mean, what other game lets you do that? It's pretty much Jet Set Radio, and then Mark Echo's Getting Up, and then this. Like, there you go. So I really enjoyed it a lot. It's simple, but it's elegant. It's one of those games you could probably play for 10 minutes and have a great time, or you could delve in and play it for a whole weekend and probably like knock the whole thing out. To get 100% though is very difficult. It's a lot easier at first, but to get like 100% without ever getting detected, much like any other stealth game, is some serious business. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. Any chance I get to spray graffiti and actually draw what I want in a game, I'm like, okay, done, sold, The next game is called Teslagrad. And Teslagrad has been around for a while. I think it was on like the PS3 store, but for whatever reason, I never see it on like top lists. I don't hear a lot of game channels talking about it. Teslagrad is a Metroidvania with a whole thing with first of all Disney level animation. Like the animation is incredible. Hand drawn and 3D art is incredible. You basically use positive and negative polarity to get your way through levels and to figure out puzzles.
Huh.
It's pretty simple at first, but once you start to open up, it's like, wow, this world is pretty huge, and there's all this stuff you can do and not do depending on your current abilities and for that matter your understanding of how it works. A lot of sections I thought I couldn't do, I just didn't really realize what I was supposed to do, and I went back and it was like, oh, okay, duh,
So those are like some of the best puzzle games, like when the solution is something like that,
Yeah, when you don't need an item, but it's already there.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's that gradual realization that you understand. Of course. Okay. So, a quick question for you for Tesla Grad.
Yeah.
Is it primarily a puzzle-based game, or is it or puzzle is just a part of maybe the action that you're already doing within it?
It is definitely primarily it's puzzles and platforming, but there's not really like a lot of there's bosses, but there's not really a lot of like enemies per se. It's more about figuring out what you need to do in each room.
Okay, that actually sounds really appealing to me right now. So that's really the basis of my question.
Yeah, it's a very like chill and sit back and try to figure out kind of satisfaction sort of game.
Cool.
I love the animation beyond all reason. I mean, it just looks and feels really good. Whoever made this really has a very keen understanding of game feel, which I think even in modern day AAA games, like a lot of devs just don't understand game feel. It's like it can look great, it can sound great, it can have cool puzzles and whatever, but if it doesn't feel good, I'm not gonna want to keep playing it. So, they get that really right in this. The next game is called Dex. That's DEX. This game was, I think, $20 normal, but I on the Switch for somehow it was $1.70 on sale.
Oh.
That is an absolute steal for this game. If Cyberpunk gave you, if Cyberpunk made you cry because it wasn't fucking ready for us, this is a 2D Cyberpunk sort of Deus Ex kind of game. You play this girl. You're trying to figure out kind of what's going on in the world, your place in it. You have body modifications. There's huge conversation trees. There's full voice acting. There's perks you can upgrade like stealth or damage or whatever. You can play the entire game without getting detected, or you can play the entire game guns blazing. It's honestly really pretty. The music's good. I mean, this is another one I didn't want to put down. It was just like, wow, okay, I'm a huge fan of Deus Ex and that whole universe, System Shock, all that stuff. So this is kind of the 2D game in that line that I think everybody should give a try, especially if Cyberpunk disappointed you. I know it's not quite the same as Cyberpunk, and I know a lot of people have a weird thing about like 2D versus 3D games, but if you like 2D games and you want something where you are in a dystopian future and you can possibly stealth or action your way out of all sorts of situations via conversation, via platforming, via action, this game has it.
So
I was really kind of blown away by this, and also female protagonist. Like, we need more of that. We just do.
Yeah.
So question. So when you say that this is like, would you say that this is like an RPG, like an in-depth RPG? So like, the way I play can be like completely different from you, and that would somewhat alter like my experience with the game, right?
From the 2 hours that I played of it, it seemed like you really did have a fair amount of choices. I'm looking on How Long to Beat right now. This game, the main story is 11 hours, and completion is, they say, 17 hours. So it's not like the biggest game ever, but if you want like a good, like, juicy chunk of what Cyberpunk promised, but in 2D, this is the game.
I mean, 11 hours sounds perfect to me. So, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So yeah, and honestly, I just have to stress again, since we're talking about all these games, I'm like a huge cross-referencer when it comes to deals. A great site out there is istthereanydeal.com, but what that does not cover is Switch games, and Deku Deals is the site for Switch games. And honestly, Switch just has often better deals than even Steam or Humble or any of that other stuff.
Wait, who? Nintendo.
Yeah,
No.
I know, right?
Nintendo?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait.
Nah.
I don't know how
Not
they do
first
it.
party
Honestly.
stuff.
Oh yeah,
I have
there
no
it is.
idea how they do it.
Not
I don't know.
first
I don't
party.
know who's getting pleasured. I don't know. I don't know who's sliding something under desks or something. I don't know what's happening. But Nintendo Switch has them deals.
That's true. There's been like I'm bad for it. I'm bad for like, oh, this game is like 74 cents. I haven't got to think about it. I'm like, and then at that point, like I'm using like the what is like gold coins, the Nintendo coin, like the whatever point system that is. The amount.
Yeah,
of,
this one I actually bought with just like the Nintendo points. Like I didn't even spend money on it. So just saying, check out Dex. A little bit of that cyberpunk, redemption from the mess that was cyberpunk in our minds. I know it's not the same kind of game. It's not nearly the same budget, but what they're doing here, I think, is really neat. I would love to see more of it. All right, so the next game is called Hero Hours Contract. This game is a strategy RPG, like Fire Emblem or Shining Force, that kind of thing. But what's really cool about it is that it's mainly female cast, and for that matter, mainly BIPOC.
Cool.
The representation is really good. I love the pixel art. It's got great dialogue that's very contemporary, like they talk like how people talk now. And it's got kind of like a Powerpuff Girls sort of vibe to it. You're basically working your way up this tower to take on their version of Starbucks, which of course is taking over the world.
What?
And your characters are like, fuck that, we're not going to work for this terrible coffee company. They're doing horrible things. We're going to fight them, and you fight them in turn-based battles on a grid. What's really cool though is that each of the characters from the get-go just have inherent skills that are different from each other. So it's all about knowing which one to use in the right order, like most strategy games. But the way they did it in this, I found really compelling. Another game I didn't want to stop playing. It was just like, I'm not even that big into Fire Emblem, but if you like Fire Emblem and you want something a little lighter, a little funnier, really stylish, and for that matter, with more than just white folks in it, this is the game. I don't even know who makes it. I didn't really. I don't know. I don't remember, but I know it's a very small team. Put it that way.
Okay.
See, and the animation style is like super simple. Like
Yeah.
I feel like if the game has like clever enough writing and like I actually care about the characters and the story, it could be stick figures for all I care. But it's cool. It's cool seeing stuff like this.
Yeah. It looks like one guy developed this.
Yeah, seriously.
No, I mean like literally. Like I looked it up, and the developer is just the name of a guy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Too.
So that's cool.
But yeah, it's pretty rare even in indie games to see like full representation, and I really enjoy that. That's something that I find myself noting more and more as time goes on, like how many games have people that look like me versus ones that don't, and it's just really important. It's important. We talked about it on the show before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, this is definitely a pretty short experience. You have like this big tower, and then you have a couple endless battles. It's not huge, but it also was like $1.99. And I think if you like strategy RPGs, it's worth a look. Okay, so the next game, I laughed my ass off. It's called Scheming Through the Zombie Apocalypse. This game is kind of like a conversational game, mixed with a point-and-click sort of thing. Basically, in a world full of animals, where animals are people, you are these two. I think one is a bunny, and the other one is like a dog or a fox. And basically, it's the zombie apocalypse. And you go to your friend's house, and you're like, "Hey, what's going on?" There's like a huge, it's crazy outside, right? Like people are dying, like things are exploding, and your friend's like, "Yeah, whatever. You want to watch TV?" And so you try to watch TV, and of course nothing's on because everything's falling down. And so you realize that if you're gonna make money and you're gonna make things work, you've got to come up with some kind of scheme. So your bunny friend is like, "Well, how about we go out into the zombie apocalypse, into the streets, and we start hiring people to go and loot places for us while we watch from the van in binoculars." And that's the game. And like it's hard to describe just how funny it is, but the dialogue is completely R-rated. In the first 10 minutes they're talking about drugs and sex. It's very, very over the top. It's fucking hilarious, and there's so many situations where you're like, okay, well, if I say this thing, this person's going to do this, but if I say this other thing, they might do this. And if you like conversation tree or point and click kind of games,
Yeah.
this one, I laughed and I laughed. The chat was going wild in Twitch. We were just like rolling over how funny this game was. It's one of those things where if you pass it by in the Switch store, you'd be like, what the hell is this? But give it a chance. Give it a try.
Yeah. I've been playing Famicom Detective Club, and going from that to this would be a riot. I'm sure. This looks cool. I have to check.
Yeah,
this
it
out.
doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that's totally to its benefit.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so the next game is called Xmorph Defense, and let me tell you, I have played a lot of tower defense games, but this one, first of all, gorgeous, just absolutely beautiful as far as for the price point and for what they're offering. It's a gorgeous game. Full voice acting, and it's essentially a tower defense game, but instead of being on land, you are playing a bullet hell shoot 'em up during the tower defense. So I'm a big fan of shoot 'em ups. I'm a big fan of bullet hell games. I'm not really that big into tower defense, but if you like both of those genres or either of those genres, I think this game is pretty cool. I went through the first, I think, 2 or 3 missions, about an hour and a half, and found myself wanting to play more. It's like a slice of XCOM with a slice of like R-Type or Gradius or Raiden or that sort of thing.
Yo, that sounds stressful. Like,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's intense. It's especially once like the forces start coming in, and I think I only played it on normal, but one of the missions I had to restart a few times just because like it's tough. This was another one that's normally 20 or 25, and somehow it was $4.99, and I was like, okay, let's go, let's try it out.
So when you're catching these deals, like, are you catching them off of these websites?
Yeah, Deku Deals is the main one. A lot of it, some of it I just researched myself on the store, but Deku Deals is the site that I highly recommend. Number one, because it's like probably the only main site out there that focuses only on the Switch eShop and not on anything else. And 2, because you can sort it by the sale end date. So when I look at any time, I can be like, oh, this is literally about to expire in an hour. Let me go grab this. It also shows you a chart of how often it's on sale and when it was last on sale. So you can be like, oh shit, this is only $1. It expires in 2 hours and it hasn't been that low. And it's normally 20 and it hasn't been that low in 6 months. I better get it now. They do a great job. Whoever runs it, the guy like just totally like slays it over there. One of the best deal sites. I think everybody needs to be watching. Nintendo should be telling people about this. It's gotten me to buy more games than I ever would have normally.
I feel like it's gotten Nintendo to actually put a timer on their sales.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So most of the time when I pick the 5 games under $5, I have to like literally narrow it down from like 20 games to 5 because there's just so many deals going on at the same time. There's also a lot of really great YouTube channels. I just want to give a shout out while I'm here. There's one called Switch Watch, and then there's another one. It's like Switch. It's eluding me at the moment, but there's some really great YouTube channels that like focus solely on eShop deals, and they do a great job at it. And so I find a lot through that too. Okay, the next game is called Splasher. This game is for anybody who loves Super Meat Boy or Celeste.
Yes.
But I have to say, it really has its own unique thing going on. The animation is great, and yes, you're running and jumping and wall jumping, but you're also spraying paint on the surfaces, and each of the paints, their color determines a different usage. So sometimes the paint's bouncy, or sometimes it's sticky, or sometimes it repels things, or sometimes you're shooting water to like remove the paint so you can do something else with that same surface. It has great music, it has a great art style, and at first glance, it does look a lot like Meat Boy or Celeste, but I have played the fuck out of those games, and I promise this is definitely something else. If you have any interesting games like that, twitchy, fast 2D platformers, I think this game's pretty awesome, honestly.
I determine the quality of all of these kind of games with how quick it gets me into the action after I die. Tell me the load is like half a second.
Yes, exactly. It's instant restart. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, nice.
Yes, same. I'm like, I don't want to watch a loading screen. Like, let's go. Come on, it's 2021. Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Cool.
that is really quick. That's incredible. Nice.
Yeah, it's like boom, boom, boom. It just has like, I don't know. It's like, imagine if Splatoon was more of a puzzle game instead of like a MOBA, and also in 2D. There you go.
This made me think about Portal, actually.
That's you. Yeah, there's a lot of little elements that they kind of steal and grab from other games. It was at a game jam a couple years ago, and I think at one point they were really kind of hyping it pretty hard. But you know, a lot of these smaller games, it's either like literally a single dev or a very small team, and they just don't have the time or resources, and they all have lives. But this is another one where I feel like if more people heard about this, it actually predates Celeste by about almost a year. And so I'm just saying, I know Celeste is great, and Celeste got a ton of play and a ton of marketing, but
Yeah.
this game kind of did that before, maybe not with the emotionally, mental health story, involved, but the same kind of gameplay. Just saying.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. And then the next game is called, oh my God, the next game is called Reventure. This game, I really don't want to spoil anything. All I can say is Reventure is something I think every gamer needs to play at least once. Do not judge it on its pixel art. At first, it seems like the kind of game where... so first of all, you can name your character whatever you want. You're meant to die over and over because you're going to. And you also, there's Twitch streamer integration, so like people in your chat can do things that alter the game if you play it on PC. And it's the kind of game where basically at the beginning it's like you must save the land, blah blah blah. So you go to get like a sword or a shield, and then you realize really quickly, now that I have a sword and a shield, I can only jump so high. So it becomes about which items you want to take with you on each go, and every time you die, it doesn't game over. The game simply keeps going, and however you died in the last one, assuming that it didn't disintegrate your body, you continue as that character, now burned by lava or sliced into little bits or turned into a cat or whatever the fuck happened to you on the last episode. So it's hard to explain until you play it, but this is one of the few games that if you look on Steam, it's 10 out of 10 rating.
Yeah.
And just it's incredibly clever. It's incredibly self-aware. It breaks the fourth wall constantly. It's really good to play on stream with viewers because what I did was I just named my new character after each death, one of the viewers, and so we kind of got into it and had a lot of fun with that. And I won't spoil more than that, but I just think it's one of those things that, like, if you've ever liked adventure games, if you've ever liked Zelda, I think it's something everybody needs to play. You'll laugh and you'll scratch your head and you'll be like, oh, it's not just this little game. It's this whole thing. It's way bigger than it seems.
And the game's it looks self-aware because like I've seen it like just a couple of like words on the screen where like 1 second it said please nerf this and
Yeah.
It's-
There's a lot of talk between like your supposed character and the dev. And you actually meet the dev in game. It's a whole thing. It's like they really did something special that, I mean, you might find me saying this a lot on this list, but words do not do this game justice. Just give it a shot.
This feels like, well, first of all, I did notice the Steam thing. That's the first thing I saw was that it was 10 out of 10, and I was like, wow, okay. And secondly, this looks like an Undertale type of situation where it looks like it's gonna fuck me up.
Yes.
Some kind of way. So I'm not sure quite how, but it'll probably feel good. I don't know. Yeah, this looks interesting.
This is one of the games where I think those, we all play a lot of games here, and I feel like over time you start to think, God, have I seen everything that 2D has to offer? This is one of those games that's like, oh wow, we barely scratched the surface of what you can offer in a 2D game. But yeah, give it a shot. Reventure, totally worth it. Like, there's a lot of good games on this list, but like that's one that like you must try if you have any love for 2D games. Okay, all right. So the next game, also a 2D game. The next game is called Octahedron. This is how I described this to somebody was this is like, let's say Atari never stopped making games. From the 70s or the 80s. And this would be like their AAA release. Like this would be like, hey, we have this new game, you should check it out. This would be Octahedron. It's very psychedelic. It's got a ton of colors going on, and the music, much like the game Lumines or any of the Q Entertainment game, the music is like a big bar that goes by the screen, and so the beat and everything that's interactable in the stage is like on the beat, like everything's on the beat. And the gimmick is that you can create a temporary platform under yourself twice, and only twice, before you have to land again to reset them. So getting to the end of each stage is about using the colors and the sound and the rhythm of everything, along with your two materializing platforms to get from point A to point B. On paper, it's very simple, but again, it's one of those things that like you may have seen games that play like this or seen games that look like this, but it really has its own flavor, its own thing going on, and also a kick-ass like EDM soundtrack if you're into that.
Yeah.
I
I want to
very psychedelic.
I want to bump back you up on this one. I played this like a couple years ago, I think, and and totally agree with everything you said. Awesome soundtrack, and the game just feels nice to play. The platforming, it feels very tight. I always felt like I was in control. All mistakes were my own, like that kind of tight. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Totally agree.
Yeah, I think it's already like, I mean, it's probably like 2017 or something by now, but yeah, it's not like new, but this is just one of those games where it reminds me like, hey, like if Atari or if any of these older brands were around today, the same way they were, this is the kind of game they would be making now. Ideally,
Absolutely.
It's kind of a shame, really. Like I imagine just imagine if Atari was still around and still making games. This would be it.
Yeah.
All right, the next game is called Crossing Souls. Crossing Souls is, if you like Stranger Things, you need to play this game. It's about 5 kids in a little neighborhood in anywhere America in the 80s, and they discover some crazy shit going on, and they go to figure it out. The animation is great, and along the course of the game, you play like many different game genres in the same theme. There's racing, there's shooting, there's platforming, there's top-down Zelda. It's like a big mix of a bunch of different genres. Each of the characters are really interesting. They all have their own dialogue. There's a fair amount of representation. Each character has their own unique trait that they can do, which gets you, and you can switch between them on the fly, which gets you, across the game in different ways. Again, it totally has the Stranger Things vibe. It really has like that sort of 80s, Saturday morning cartoon show kind of like, kids in a neighborhood figuring out shit together, Scooby-Doo kind of thing. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those ones that it's on the list that I need to finish. Very clever dialogue, great pixel art, etc.
Nice. This one always fucks me up because it has souls at the end, and I can't think of anything except Dark Souls. Every time.
I found it weird that they called it Crossing Souls because that was kind of the only thing where I'm like, I don't know if the title actually matches this.
Yeah. I've seen this in the eShop a number of times, and I haven't picked it up, but due to your recommendation, I will definitely wishlist this and put it higher on my priority list. It sounds really cool.
Cool. This is yet another one that's I think 15 or 20, and it was $374 when I got it. So like. Another one that's like, if you can find it under $5, it's a steal. It's super high quality. It's totally something that's, it might even be Devolver Digital, but like anything Devolver puts out is like pretty much great.
Yep.
So yeah. And then the next game is called Flipping Death. This is not made by Tim Schafer or Double Fine Productions, but it is exactly like a Double Fine game. If you like Psychonauts or Brutal Legend or The Secret of Monkey Island or any of those, Tim Schafer games from back in the day, Flipping Death is about this girl who dies and realizes that the only way to save her soul is to literally flip the entire stage around like a diorama on the fly and help dead people kind of resolve their issues so that their spirits can move on.
That sounds so fucking cool. What?
Yeah, it's very similar to Psychonauts in the sense that like you help people with their problems in order to make the whole world better. So you really kind of delve into each person's individual psyche and like what's going on with them. I don't know if they're going to show it here on this preview, but frequently, I mean, most of the time you are flipping between the alive world and the dead world. There's a fair amount of platforming. There's some really interesting conversation trees. The animation and the art and the music are all like top notch, like AAA level. But this got literally no attention. I'm not sure why. It's another one that's $20 that somehow I was on sale for $3.99. But totally worth it, especially if you liked anything by Tim Schafer or Double Fine Productions, Grim Fandango, any of that stuff. If you like any of those games, this is a game you need to check out.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, and then we have a game. I might have talked about this before, but I cannot get enough of this game studio. Let me think. I think they're called
Thunder Lotus.
Thunder Lotus. Yes, thank you. So Thunder Lotus, every time they put out a game, I just have to stop and everything else like blurs, and I'm like, I need to check this out. This game is called Sundered. This is about a young black woman who decides basically, well, it's funny. I don't know that I remember all the story points, but basically, you have to go to a land that was previously ravaged and kind of figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah.
It's a Metroidvania, but the neat thing is that only certain parts of the map are static. All the parts in between are randomly generated every time you play. It's 4-player co-op. It has completely incredible hand-drawn animation, a huge skill tree. Me and the Bears have played it a few times. It doesn't have online play, but if you have like local folks, roommates, whatever, you can hop in and out at any time 4-player, and the only person who can't die is player 1. So like the other people can, like in other words, somebody who knows the game or who's skilled at games like this can just be player 1, and other people, regardless of their skill, can play with you and not have a bad time. Which is great. It's such a minute detail, but not enough games really think about, like the hardcore gamer with his spouse or friends who are not hardcore gamers and how they can all have fun together. So I think they went above and beyond with this. The animation is straight up Disney movie or Don Bluth kind of thing. It's gorgeous. The soundtrack sounds like a fucking movie. And again, black female protagonist just doesn't happen barely ever.
Yeah.
So to see that in this is really awesome. Everything Thunder Lotus touches to me is gold.
I'm kicking myself so hard because I have not played any of the 3 games that they've done, but each one looks so damn awesome. Like every one, when I see it in screenshots, I hear the concept of them. They just all sound kick-ass. And I actually really want to play this one because it looks like it deals with cosmic horror, which I'm a huge fan of. So I definitely need to get into this.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely, if you like Hollow Knight, if you like Castlevania, if you like Momodora, that sort of thing. Yeah. I mean, it's on that level of Metroidvania, but the big twist that I have to reiterate is that it's completely randomly generated except for key rooms like boss rooms and specific item rooms. But the rest of the time you're finding stuff that you may never find again, level layouts you may never see again, and I think they do a really good job of that. I wish like the next Castlevania or the next whatever Metroidvania that's going to come out, I really hope they take a nod from this, because we're at the point where when games like this exist, going back to a set map that's always the same every time is kind of like, it's not that it's bad, but it's just kind of like, well, if I could just have this, why wouldn't I just play this,
All right.
All right, and then
have you played Returnal?
I've not. How is it?
It's
The opinions may vary, but I think we all generally like it, though, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard mixed things. I've been watching a few things.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 more games. The next one is called Invisigun. This is one of the very few games that is cross-play between PC and Switch. I don't know that it's on any other console, but as long as you're logged into it, anyone can see you regardless of what they're playing on. It's the easiest way to describe this game. First of all, awesome representation, incredible characters, incredible music, incredible art, pixelized glory. If you like Bomberman, but you want a twist on Bomberman, this is the game. It essentially plays like Bomberman, but instead of laying bombs, you have guns, and each character has their own unique skill set and stats. But the main thing is that everyone is invisible unless you're shooting. You can see each other's footsteps. You can see the world around you changing little by little as you walk around. But you can only be seen when you shoot or when you get hurt. So like it becomes this mind game of learning the levels, which there's like 98 something levels that they put in, maps, and it really makes you hone in on, like, you really start to learn exactly where you are and the strats that it takes to take people down when they think they know where you are. Um, all I can say is play this with 4 friends. If y'all ever want to play this, I'm down. I think when I got it, it was $1.99. It's one of those games that's like, a battle could last 5 minutes or it could last literally 30 seconds if everybody knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're back into it real quick, real fast menus. And I'm not really sure how they did it, but the crossplay between PC and Switch is genius. They just have like a little code that you enter, and then you're just in the game. I really enjoyed this a lot. I'm a big Bomberman fan, and this is the first twist I have seen on Bomberman in decades.
Okay.
So anyway,
Nice.
yeah, Invisigun is really cool. Very, very, very fun for multiplayer, and has some really cool like story mode single player stuff too. So, okay, and then the last game I want to talk about is a game called Mainlining. Mainlining is brilliant. It is a game where you are playing the role of someone in cybersecurity, and the whole game is played from the perspective of someone on a computer at the cybersecurity office. So the whole game is played on like a fake Windows. You even log into it, and it looks like Windows XP. It has a fully realized OS with everything in it. I mean, you can play with the calculator, you can look at the calendar. It's a whole thing, and the whole game is about determining who is fake and who is not by going to a browser in it, and looking up websites and kind of like determining, figuring out who's lying, who's selling things on the black market. They give you like a whole sort of like rundown of like, we need you to capture this person, we need you to prove that this person is doing illegal things online, and you actually have to move windows around and read dialogue trees and get to know characters. There's a lot of voice acting in it. There's really great dialogue in it. I've really honestly never played anything like this, and even though it absolutely caters to having a mouse and a keyboard, it's one of those things where I played it on the Switch and it was fine. It really did fine. It wasn't ideal, but it was good enough. I think it's something, anybody who's into details, anybody who likes storytelling, anybody who has any interest in hacking or anything like that, give this a shot. It is truly brilliant. It's just one of those things that probably will never be popular just by virtue of the kind of game that it is. But that's okay. I think, give it a shot.
It's funny that you mentioned this. So James talked about Emily is Away last week.
Yeah.
And
Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, James, go ahead.
So basically, it's the same kind of concept. It takes you back to like early Windows. You log into AIM. You end up doing the whole like chatting thing, going back and forth with this girl Emily. And came out, I think, like early 2013 or something like that.
Oh wow, okay.
Its third part just came out a couple months ago. So it just kind of goes through the whole thing. It takes you through the narrative of like getting to know this girl and like, are you falling for her? What's going on with that sort of thing? And it goes at the highs and the lows of like, oh, she's away. What if I say this so I sound dumb? What if I say this so I sound cool? That kind of thing.
Nice.
And it gives you
Yeah,
that same kind of, oh yeah, there you go. And
No,
it makes
no,
you
sorry,
actually type in order to like get the dialogue out. So it's just a fun little treat like that.
Yeah, it's incredible when these devs like are able to program something that's like that adapts to what you're doing as opposed to this set sort of linear thing. I love a good linear game. There's nothing like a well-crafted linear game, but there's something to be said for like when you can actually converse in game with an AI and it like works and doesn't break or isn't shitty. Like that's kind of incredible.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take a look at that.
That and just committing to the bit of like antique internet at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating.
Like it even gives you like old YouTube and old stuff like that. I think there's like a Newgrounds Easter egg in there, that sort of thing.
Dang, R.I.P. Flash.
Right. And this game and Emily is Away is free. So
Oh, okay, even better. I was just gonna like put it on a wish list. Let me see.
there you go.
Cool. So yeah, all of those games. I know that was a whole lot. Thank y'all for listening. I know that was a whole lot. That was 15 games, and They're not all on sale all at the same time, but just for reference, those 15 games cost me $50.14. So like even less than a brand new game full retail, 15 full games. And I know not all of these may appeal to everybody, but there's a variety of genres and some really great ideas and some great implementation of them by the devs in these games. I would not consider any of these to be like cheap games. The cheapest one in terms of quality is probably Hero Hours Contract because it's made by a single dev, but everything else could easily be on store shelves next to much pricier things if people understood their value as games themselves. So just say.
I always love to see it. I always love to see games that aren't afraid to like do things differently, because we honestly we're living in a time where a lot of publishers, they'd rather put out a game that's, you know, a game style that's known to make money. So like, of course, that is, you know, like free to play, that's microtransactions, and we're actually going to talk about that later in this episode. But it's just it's interesting. Like I love creativity. I'm a creative person, so to see people's creativity and to see them take something, bring it to life, you love to see it.
Oh well, and also like I think in the chat here, like don't let me like
Oh no,
don't
no,
let me
it's
like.
good. Yeah.
So Fritz the cat I know from our channel says, how often do you replay games? Do you play them all the way through? All of those games on that list right there, I have not beaten any of those, sadly. But when I look back at my entire list of like 5 games under $5, these are the ones where eventually I'm going to stop doing 5 games under $5 and I'll do like best of and actually beat them. These are the ones that like I'll absolutely want to finish because they only made me want to see what else happens and what more I could get out of them. I do finish games, but not as much as I'd like to. You know,
Hey,
the last game I
I'm in the same
completely
boat.
finished. Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I'm just agreeing with you. I am in that same boat. Like,
Yeah, there's too many games. Like,
yeah.
you know, and I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. I might as well play as many as I can. You know?
Hey, I mean, at this point, I mean, you full time Twitch. It's more content, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's always something else to play. When people are like, I don't know what to play, I'm like, let me unload this essay on you. You know.
We'll just send him to the clip of this whole segment. Just send
And
it to
every
him.
other segment. Because you come through with the numbers every time. It's so refreshing to see.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you for that.
I love it, honestly. I have my wish list ready every time.
Yeah, after every episode that you're on, like the list that that we have, like I'm literally like on my Switch, like wish listing, or if it's still on sale, just buying them at that point. So, yeah,
Glad to hear that.
If I am on board with a lot, and a lot of these games seem like they're good alternatives to AAA games that just seem they're just disappointing. Let's be real. A lot of these AAA games that are coming out, for the most part, it's you have like a group of people saying, "Oh wow, this game is technically sound. It's great. It's beautiful." But then you have like a very vocal minority. It feels like that will like trash games and like say, "Oh, this is the story. You know, completely ruined it." Yeah, I'm talking about Last of Us Part 2. Y'all need to relax. Just play a game, like enjoy it. And then and for the people that are enjoying it, like don't let these people ruin your fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Even if it's not like great, right? Even if it doesn't get some rating or whatever on IGN or whatever, if you're having fun with a game, that's all you need to be valid. That's it. If you're having fun with it, even if that fun is trying to do like a hitless Dark Souls 2 run or some shit, like if that's what you find fun, have at it, you know?
Yeah, more for you. No, thank you.
Exactly.
So you know, it's interesting. This week, me, James, and Rod actually had time to actually at the same time play video games together.
Oh shit! What'd you play?
Oh man, so we played Knockout City.
Okay.
And it is, man, it's I've heard of this. I heard of the game when like they which where did we see this first? I feel like it was
Nintendo Direct
was
from
like-
like earlier this year or late last year, something like that, where they had that awful reveal trailer
That
with like
had
the counter.
nothing to do with the
Yeah, it was like Counter Strike guy, Pixel Princess, and like Warcraft.
Oh, that was this
dude.
game?
Yeah, that was
game.
this exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Exactly.
happened? What?
was
No, it's
terrible.
it's not.
It
No,
was-
it's
it was
not.
terrible.
Hold
That's
on.
the
Yeah.
same game.
I gotta look it up now.
I literally watched the trailer like last night just to make sure that I didn't have a fever dream. But yeah, it was fucking awful. But I mean, but once it got past all that and you got to the gameplay, it looked intriguing. You're like, oh, this is a dodgeball game. Okay, some of the mechanics kind of looked interesting. They had a beta, and I talked about the beta on this show. I was able to play it. I think I was the only one of us to play it, and I came back with like pretty high praise of it. I was like, this is actually really fun. It reminded me of Rocket League in a way, where it was easy to pick up, very hard to master, but like addictive though in the attempt. So
Wow,
I
this
think-
was this game. Hold on, I'm gonna put it on the screen.
Don't do that.
I remember this. This has
We don't
nothing to
need
do.
to-
This has nothing to do with the game. This has these aren't even characters.
That was the worst part, because it goes through this whole thing of like, okay, maybe it's like a
yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
a who's who of like video game tropes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm like, maybe this would be the characters. No, they don't exist at all. Why
This-
would you do that?
This seems like they put way too much money and effort into the trailer, and it's like this is a pretty high budget thing. Like that it looks good,
Mm-hmm.
like for what they're doing, but it's almost like you're watching like I can't remember the term for it, but in all reality TV, right? The scenes where they're behind the scenes and you're talking to the booth and the single person,
Yeah.
right? It's like they did that for a show that's not ready yet. It's like, well, we don't care about any of this because we haven't seen the show yet. What do we care about behind the scenes if we don't even know like what the show is yet?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
That's a good
Exactly.
point.
that's weird.
Yeah, but it's showing the gameplay now, and man, this game is fun. This
Yeah.
game
It
is
does look
amazing.
sick.
It's
I mean,
good.
I would honestly take it a step further. I think this game is really, really good, and I think it deserves a lot of hands on it right now. I felt that way for the beta. I feel that way now that it's actually released. And I guess we should talk about the actual game itself. So I mean, like it's like a futuristic dodgeball kind of, where like I mean, it clearly takes place some point in the future where you know, you have 2 hits before you are knocked out. And you have different types of balls. So like the regular one is like, you know, the one you get hit once and that's like 1 heart off of yourself and you get it again with it and you're out. Although you do respawn, and the first 1 to 10 KOs wins the round, and you play 2 out of 3 rounds. The twist is that you have a variety of different balls that you can actually throw at people. So you have like one called a cage ball, where you throw that at someone and it turns them into a ball that like can be that you can throw like either, as we found out, into a pit or like off the side of the level. You have another type of ball, by the way, which is called a multi-ball. So you get like 3 or 4 that you could juggle at once, basically, and throw immediately or pass to your teammates. It is 3v3, so it feels pretty intimate, like in the combat, but I actually really like that. James, I talked about this like a few weeks ago with the beta. I'm way more interested to hear what your thoughts were.
So-
yeah, go ahead, James.
When I first saw this, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it, to be completely honest. It plays very much like a third-person shooter, but I think it's more of a thinking man's game, because there's a lot more nuance to when am I throwing the ball, how hard am I going to throw the ball, who am I throwing it at? Because like the way that the game works is if you are being targeted, you get this red frame around your screen in which you know that, hey, somebody's watching me. So that paranoia pops up in your head, and you're like, okay, do I focus on who's in front of me? Is this the target I need to worry about? Is somebody behind me? Should I like just try and get in or get out? So there's a lot of choices that are being made moment to moment in the gameplay. And I think that that's probably the most engaging part for me. Even just trying to coordinate with my friends, like you, Chris and Roddy were the other night, trying to figure out who's going to be around here. Should we try and team up? Should we try and retreat? And of course, you can worry about your timing on the defensive end, where if you can intercept the ball or catch the ball, then of course you don't get hit and you get a power boost on your next throw. So it's it really gives me like Splatoon vibes with dodgeball, and I'm enjoying it a lot. A lot more than I thought I would.
So in the chat they're asking would you say this is better than Ninjala? So
I have no frame of reference.
all right, so I played a little bit of Ninjala, and I feel like
too.
that game, since it's it's free for all, it's a little different. I like this more because like I'm more of like a team oriented like player. Like I love co-op games. So like for me, it sort of brought back the feeling of like playing pickup dodgeball in school, but like playing with your friends. So that's what me, James and Rod did, and just being able to communicate. And this game is extremely simple, but at the same time, there's enough in this game that makes it deep. Where like I'm still learning, like how certain throws function. Like if someone is throwing a ball at you, depending on how far away they are, I could just dash into it and sort of knock it away. So there's a lot of defensive things to do. There's a lot of like assists. Like you could if you have a ball in your hand, you could throw it to a teammate and it automatically charges the ball for them to throw a power shot. So there's technique behind that. There's technique behind, let's say if I throw a ball and James is right behind me, he can then turn himself into a ball. I could pick him up and throw him. So that adds even more of it's like an extra layer of depth to it, because even with that, like I found out today that when you throw a teammate, instead of knocking off one heart, it takes off two. So there's like a trade-off, because if you throw your teammate and the opponent catches it, because you can catch throwing balls in this game, essentially if they catch your teammate, they'll have your teammate in their hand and they can just turn around and just launch them off the stage.
Now, when you catch the ball, with which like, sorry, when you catch the ball, which lets you not get hit by it, is it sort of like a parry where you have to do it right when it hits you?
So they're really generous with the window that you have. So you honestly have like a good, let's say like 2 second window, 3. I think 2 seconds is fair.
I would
You think it's more than that?
second.
Yeah, I'd say like a second. I think
Really?
it's
If you know
it
a ball is
feels
coming,
long.
yeah. Compared to like other games where like if it's a parry, you have to be precise. So the trade off is if you're a little bit off, then you'll catch it, but it's just a regular ball. But if you catch it like at the perfect time, you'll then get like a charged ball, and you could instantly launch it back. So
Just saying. I mean, I know we're on the podcast, but I'm just saying, if y'all ever want to play this, I'm down. This looks great.
yeah,
absolutely.
And that's another thing about this game is that I'm a little bit confused with how they decided to sort of like sell this game, because right now there was the first like 10 days.
10 days.
First 10 days of the game being out, it's free to play. You're exclusively locked onto the 3v3 mode, but at the same time, this game is like I think $20.
Yeah.
It's $20 for the standard and 30 for the deluxe.
Yeah, so I don't know. When I look at games like this, it's, even though they're completely different games, we have to bring up Rocket League. We got to bring up games that are smaller like this, but like it just has like its replay value. It's it's team oriented. So like as long as you have like a fun group to play with, like you could keep playing this game. Like last night we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Didn't I realize how like long we've been playing?
Yeah, we played for a couple hours and didn't even feel like it.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing, like if this would have come out, like in high school, me and my friends, oh my god, we would have played the fuck out of this.
Yeah. So
it's like Modern Warfare days. I loved it.
It's confusing that they sort of went with the $20 price point, because at the same time there's microtransactions. So in this game, when you're playing, you have like your season pass meter pretty much, which you unlock XP boost, you'll unlock clothing, you'll unlock like different aesthetics for the most part, and you can only get it through like playing the game. And then there's a store, of course, where if you wanted to buy cosmetics through there, you could do that too. So I feel like with them having that microtransaction store, this game really could have gone free to play, because a game like this has to be put in the hands of players for them to really get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Because I don't think that I don't think that this game is super appealing on a visual level. Like, it doesn't look bad, but the art style is kind of, it almost reminds me of like a Fortnite, but maybe even more generic than that. So it's not something that just instantly sticks out in that sense. So I do agree with you, Chris, in the sense that you have to get people playing this game to begin with. I think the word of mouth on
Right.
this is already very, very strong.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard just anecdotally from like people I know that who are not super adventurous when it comes to just games in general, that they're like, hey, I've been seeing this thing on Instagram or Twitter or on Twitch or whatever, and I kind of want to try it, and they've tried it and loved it. So I mean, again, anecdotes, but I mean, I think that it just speaks to the power that this game has. My second point, Chris, is to your surprise at $20. I was surprised too, until I realized, like, yeah, EA is actually publishing this. So I feel
makes
like
sense.
I feel like that's the primary reason. I do wonder if it was anyone else. Even if this developer decided to self-publish, like, I feel like a free-to-play option is just right there for the taking. Like,
is.
that seems like the ideal way. I mean, even the store itself is set up. I mean, you can play the game normally if you've played Overwatch or Warzone or something where, like, the more you play the game, you can get cosmetics and all that shit for free. Basically, quote unquote free. You're just sacrificing your time, obviously, for playing the game. And that doesn't feel predatory. Like, we were talking about that before the show started. Like, there's practices where you can kind of go wrong in that. And I don't feel like Knockout City does that incorrectly. So it does give me pause when I see that $20 price tag on it. I'm just like, that's a great price, but man, I just don't know if it's enough to get people like playing it consistently. Like, I hope that it continues to have the word of mouth, and I would wager anything that that's really the reason behind the first 10 days being free.
Right.
Like, they felt that energy, even from the beta, probably even before them with alpha testing, and knew they had a hit on their hands. But EA being EA, they probably want to charge up front for it. So, yeah.
It's there's so many games. I was just literally before we got on stream, I was playing a game on the Switch called Hyper Jam, which is great. Devs did a great job. Online multiplayer is open, but that's the thing, is if nobody's playing, then it's essentially no fun, because there's not an AI in it. Or there is, but it's just like for tutorial, which you could say, well, why didn't they just put that in there? But that's the point of games like this, is to play with your friends.
Yeah.
Now, I think, just as an example, I think Hyperjam did it right on the title screen. You can click on the Discord, and it gives you the QR code, so you can find other people that are playing at any time, even if the game's been abandoned. And the Discord still has folks in it, which is great, which is how I was playing. But I think the entire success of something like this is, how many people are going to play it? Are they up to date and with it in terms of Discord, in terms of Twitch integration, in terms of like making sure the framework is laid out so that in 2 years, when these devs get tired of it, or EA moves on to something else that's going to make them more money, is the framework there for people to continue to enjoy it?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I just downloaded it and it said free, at least for now, and I'd love to give this a shot. I mean, it looks like great fun, and I love that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I play lots of games that are very violent or R-rated or X-rated or whatever. I mean, there's tons of stuff on itch.io and Steam that all fit that, but I also think there's no substitution for just like a really good fun game that's not about shooting people in the face.
Absolutely.
It's all about the horrifying sound of a dodgeball hitting you in the face.
Right.
That classic gym moment.
Yes.
Yeah, the memories of the gym. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm this is definitely a recommendation for me. Like, I'll straight up, and like, even this is, we usually try and give it like, one or like about 2 weeks before we're like, thumbs up, thumbs down, give it more time. Nah, I'm good. I get it. This game is fun.
I'd agree, because I had no interest in this game.
Yeah.
Before
You
you guys-
initially didn't even really care for it, right? Because you had issues with lag.
Right. When I was trying to play it before in the tutorials section, I don't know, maybe it's my internet connection. I don't know why I'd be messing up my tutorials, but like everything felt floaty. My controls felt off. Aiming was difficult. So
I think they've had server issues, because this is, I think when I tried to play this morning, there was like a server issue. So
that can only be good.
yeah. And it was early in the morning too, so I was like, yo, like, who's on playing right now? But I get it, the game is fun. Like, I turned the game on before going to work. Instead of making breakfast, I played this game. That was my breakfast.
Nice.
And,
Yeah.
Healthy diet. A healthy diet and knockout.
and the worst part is that I guess no, it's the ironic part is that it was a breakfast full of salt because I went ranked and oh man, if you play any game that has like a ranked mode, luckily didn't hear people, but like I felt it in the gameplay that the opposite team, all pros. Like what was it, Global Gym from Dodgeball? It was Global Gym versus what was it, Average Joe's?
Average
That's
Joe's,
exactly what it felt like this morning. So,
Nice.
but I'm still like I'm excited to jump back. I'm probably gonna play it after we get off of this. So, it's a great game.
Interesting that Kimawa and Chris, I'm down. I'm down. Like, let me know. You say it is crossplay, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay, that's excellent because that immediately brings in a bunch of people who only have Switch.
it's crossplay, and the best thing. Once again, we say this all the time, y'all, and we're not paid, so don't say that we're a shill. Like, no, it's just that good of a value. Game Pass is the best value in gaming, y'all. This game is on Game Pass, so if you have an Xbox, go ahead and
You're already in.
You already got it. You already in.
So,
Is that on
just to
PC?
clarify though, like I just got it on the PSN just because I'm sitting right here with the PlayStation and it said free. Is the Game Pass version like a more full-bodied version?
It's the actual game.
Okay, so I'll just get it on there then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's cross progression. Like I started on PlayStation 5, and I'm gonna switch over to Xbox once the 10 days is up. I just started because of like personal reasons. The Xbox was being used, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna play this on PlayStation. But now I can actually just download the Xbox version, find my username, and then do the cross progression there. Keep my clan. We have a Should I Play That Podcast clan. Join up, SIPT Podcast.
Subtle plug.
And of course, and yeah, so I'll be able to keep all of that information, which is awesome. Love that.
And shout out to them because not a lot of a lot of games now are just like I guess learning how to do crossplay or trying to like integrate that into their systems. But like being able to just like go from one system to another and it's just seamless. Like it's great. It's fun.
Yeah. I didn't even know you were on a different console, Roddy.
Yeah. I was on a PS5 at the time, so
That's
Good
way
stuff.
cool. That's way cool. Because then nobody gets left out. You know, not everybody has every system. It's just like crossplay is just. I mean, it goes without saying, right? It's cliche at this point, but like every multiplayer game needs to have a focus on crossplay. Just from this point forward, if you don't have crossplay and you're a dev, you are personally damaging your own brand. Like that's what's happening because there's Fortnite, there's Spellbreak, there's Rocket League, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like it's just like it just seems like a huge. It almost seems like if I was working at IGN, I would give someone like a whole number less for it not being crossplay. Like that's where we're at. You know what I'm saying?
6 out of 10, not enough crossplay.
Right?
For real. Too much water.
There it is. It's just water.
But yeah, this is definitely a recommendation, y'all. Like we said, Game Pass is easy. Just download it, play it. People that are watching this live, I think how many was it? When does this thing end? The freebie?
I think in like 4 days or something.
You got 4 days to see if you like it, and I feel like don't jump into this game solo because this is a game that you would want to play with friends. You want to have headsets. You want to communicate because that was honestly like the night and day difference for me from like playing last night to this morning was that there was like no team synergy and I did ranked. That was stupid. I should have just did like a regular game. But that's all on me. I wanted the extra salt in my breakfast. So
got it,
yeah, and I got it. But yeah, definitely a thumbs up. And I think this will be a game that's gonna stay in the rotation. I hope. I say that. I say this, and then next week I'm like, y'all, delete it. This game is uninstalled.
As long as it doesn't like die halfway through its life cycle.
And
if
that's
battle points me or something. Oh,
that's
my God.
that's the worst. That's the thing that I'm worried about. Is like, how are they gonna keep this fresh? Which I mean, they've already shown that they're gonna like introduce new levels. They're doing different seasons, so they have a plan on what they want to do.
Yeah, their roadmap is extensive. They're doing a lot of things, playlist events, specific events correlating the seasons, new maps, new types of balls. So yeah, I mean they're gonna be continually updating this pretty often, which is cool.
Cool.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, so that's that game. I think Rod and James, that was as for the most part what y'all have played this week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I finished the first Famicom Detective Club game. That was really good. I'll probably have more to say next week when I likely finish the second one. I haven't started it yet, but it's not that long, so I'll probably finish it and probably close the book on that series. Very good though. I've been pleased. A little frustrating at times, kind of like what I mentioned before. It is clearly a game from the '80s, late '80s, point and click, but I honestly didn't get stuck as much as I thought I would, and that was nice. The animation was beautiful, the music was great, and I enjoyed this story. Even if I saw some of the twists coming a few chapters beforehand, it was still really really cool, and I can't wait to jump into the second one. The second one is apparently even better than that first, so I'm hyped.
Nice.
I just no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I've also just jumped back into Mass Effect. Not really too much else to report at this time. Haven't made it to 2 yet, and started a little bit of Biomutant.
Oh,
That
how is that?
game- I have not gotten far enough to make a clear decision yet, but I
Okay.
will say that it has a lot of potential.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much of it have you played?
I've
Because
probably played-
I'm literally this close to buying it, but I'm just afraid I'm gonna buy the game and like not play it.
I'm legit like 30 minutes. I went to go play it before, had to do the download. We played Knockout City, and then I came home today. I was like, I gotta at least try it. But I'll have more next week for sure.
Is it like? Not that I need to talk about anymore because I talked about all those games. I have been playing one other thing quite a bit though.
Okay.
Or can we talk about like emulators and shit? Is that a
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
I'm down with a good emulator.
Okay, so there's this really cool emulator out there right now. It's called Null DC Bear, which stands for Beat 'em All Raw, which sounds way more sexual than it should. But somebody figured out how to take Null DC, which is inherently a Dreamcast emulator, and network it so that now you can finally play Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Project Justice, Tech Romancer, all the Dreamcast fighting games, all work online, full frames, rollback netcode. It's like awesome. So I've been playing a lot of that until Guilty Gear Strive comes out and until Oro and Akira are in Street Fighter 5.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wake me up when
Before
Oro's
those,
in
that's what I'm
there.
playing.
I need that Oro in Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, I've been practicing with Akira in Project Justice using Null DC Bear with some friends. There's a whole Discord for it. It's really easy to set up. It has like all the games in it. It also surprisingly runs Saturn and PS1 games, and those can be networked. It's a whole thing. So
Okay.
just saying.
Okay.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, go
what?
ahead. No, go ahead, Herb. You're good.
I was just gonna say, for those of you out there who don't realize how big of a deal that is, there is currently no way to play Capcom vs. SNK 2 online anywhere ever. Basically. And Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is my favorite, and a lot of people that was their favorite. Unless you already bought it on PS3 360 10 years ago, you know, they took it off the store. There's really no way to play it online. So just saying, this is one of those things where I'm like, if you enjoyed those at all, this is the kind of thing you want to check out.
Yeah.
I'll put the link here in our chat just so y'all can see.
Yes, please.
Yes,
I'm
excellent.
down.
Excellent. One thing I know, Chris, we gotta wrap this up. I'm sorry, but I cannot go on without like asking her real quick. What did you play Guilty Gear Strive the beta?
Oh yeah, both times.
Okay, tell me what you thought because I played it as well, but I'm sure you're more versed in Guilty Gear than me. So
Okay, so first of all, the animation and for that matter, the loading times of said animation make Street Fighter 5 look like garbage.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
yeah.
gonna say. Like and Tekken for that matter. I love Tekken and I love Street Fighter 5, but they both take way too long to load something that looks not even close. Like the Guilty Gear, the ceiling of how good their animation. You're playing a living anime with full seamless cutscenes. You know, the story mode is literally a 3-hour anime. You know, fully like the guy who devved the whole thing wrote and played all of the music. Like Guilty Gear is just like the fighting game like fan passion project that birthed out of the '90s and ex Darkstalkers players, and I'm trying to think of what his name is now, who makes the whole thing. But yeah, Guilty Gear. Honestly, I thought the beta was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's Daisuke Ishiwatari is the guy.
Okay.
He basically devved the entire first Guilty Gear game. He did all the music for it. He came up with all the characters for it. He drew all the animations for it initially, and then he started hiring a team. But yeah, this new one looks good. The only thing really that was kind of like, is that they did simplify the fighting system a little bit. It's not, it's not dive kick. It's not fantasy strike. It's not that simple. But it's like, it's definitely not Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But
Does it
that's okay.
feel more like Dragon Ball?
Yes, that's a good comparison because a lot of times you really don't have to do too much to get to a super.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say generally the game speed feels a little slower though.
Definitely slower,
than DBZ, so I wouldn't expect like that sort of locomotion in it. But
yeah, but it's not a bad thing. I think
Right.
a lot more people are going to get into Guilty Gear, and they should, because I was just talking about this prior to the podcast, but I think so much of like art, gaming media comes down to perspective. And if your perspective is that you've only ever played Street Fighter or Tekken, this game will blow your mind because it does what those do in terms of hype, in terms of character design, in terms of combos, but it just looks better and it's just quicker. It's just like boom boom, and the netcodes all roll back. Like they know exactly what they're doing with this. Really, other than a little bit of simplifying, like for instance, you can't do destruction moves anymore, which if you don't know Guilty Gear, when you press all 4 buttons, either in the first or second round, you turn red, your bar changes into another bar, and you can do a single move that kills your opponent in one hit if you pull it off. They took that out, and that has existed in every Guilty Gear since the 90s. So that's kind of weird because I really liked that. Like if you're good at that, somebody could be way better than you in terms of skill or rank, and you can just pull a destruction move and they're done.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, the online lobbies are a little weird, but you get used to it.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but like at the same time, I'm like, okay, if that's the only real drawback, fine.
Wait, weird how?
I don't find them to be effective at all. Like now, I will say that netcode itself is fantastic. Don't have any complaints at all. I just don't find the need for any sort of anime fighter to have these like little chibi or pixel characters running around a lobby. Like just put me in a screen, please. Like that's all I want from it. And half the time when I tried matchmaking, I don't know how it was for you, Herb, but my experience was like dropped connections and not like during the game, but like queuing up for a match. Like I couldn't even get people consistently.
Yeah, like when you're like trying to put yourself in ready and it doesn't always like do it. The great thing though, and I don't know if you saw it, Rod, but they put out a whole thing, a whole survey, and you can like do the survey, and they're watching that stuff really closely. Like that's the thing is Arc System, they really seem to like give a shit about whether people like it or not, which I wish Capcom would listen more, in the same way that this company is, because they really want this to be good. They don't want you to not play it. They want it to be the next Street Fighter or Tekken. And for the FGC it is, but for the casual gamer, most people have never even heard of Guilty Gear.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Like I really do get the sense from playing that they're trying to make this the Guilty Gear, like to end all Guilty Gears. Like if you never played one before, this is the one to play. That's what I've gotten from it.
Like I've dabbled in it before, but like just looking at this game, it looks really good.
It's phenomenal. It looks great. And you have a PS5, it's going to look even better.
In the chat there, and then in our chat, that's the survey. So if you played it at all, please go fill it out because they do listen. Perfect. And I went like on a whole tirade. Like they had all these questions, and then they have a section where you can write what you want. And I'm like, look, I love all this, and this, but please just give us a lobby that makes sense. The lobby is basically like this big room that's a 2D platformer, and you can create your avatar however you want. Like I had a Faust bag over my head, but I had like Eno leggings, right? And then I had like Soul Bad Guy shoes and like whatever. All right. And you walk and jump around this lobby, and you actually see people next to each other doing like a fight animation because they're in a fight. And you have to walk up to someone and be like, let's fight. But it's just the way they do it, and there's like too many menus. It's kind of a
Yeah.
little convoluted.
Yeah.
It's like
So, does it take longer to get into a match from the lobby than like the actual like match itself?
No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
But like it's more complicated than it needs to be.
Got you.
It's not bad, but if I had to say any negative about the beta, that's the one. Is that like, for my hardcore ass, the fighting got a little simpler, but that's not really the downside. The downside is the fact that the lobbies are just kind of confusing.
Yeah.
That's a
But
shame.
once you're in the fight, and for that matter, again, loading times, even on Wi-Fi and stuff, like the game just like works really well, and it makes a lot of other prominent fighters, ones that were going to be at Evo, ones that everybody talks about, kind of seem a little like, wow, y'all need to do some homework and check out Arc System, because they know exactly what they're doing. They even went back and put rollback netcode into Guilty Gear Accent Core on Steam, so now when you play that, it has brand new netcode as of 2020. Which is just incredible. They did the same thing with KOF 2002. That has rollback netcode also.
Oh, right. Yeah. I heard about that.
Just because they care enough to do it.
And I was gonna say that's cool to see because most developers they don't do that. Once they like finish with the
Once
game,
it's out,
that's
it's
it.
out.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know that was possible. They made it seem like it just couldn't be done.
Oh
you
yeah,
just
yeah. That's what
update and
Nintendo
add
wants
in.
you to think with Smash.
Right. Not
Oh,
for you,
man.
Sakurai. I know you'd care.
Right. Yeah. Sakurai cares. Sakurai cares. He does.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into our news. This week, I feel like the news this week is sort of tame. Next week, stay tuned because there's a lot of news dropping tomorrow. So, y'all excited for E3 on the corner? Anybody?
Sure.
I'm always down for new games, man. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm always down to see like what's happening.
Yeah.
I want to watch some trailers for sure.
Yeah.
What can I play on my PS5 this year?
Right? Where can people find a PS5?
I ain't got nothing for you there, boss. I don't know.
Imagine E3 drops and they just come out with an announcement like, hey, we're Sony, and guess what? We're just going to make new brick and mortar stores that are just where you can purely buy PS5s.
Right.
Like the PS5 store. There you
Or
go.
give us a date and time that you can buy a PS5, but actually send the link, or activate it out an hour after your presentation, and not on the actual day and time. Yeah, they should do that again.
At one point, weren't they saying that they were sending out like invites to buy them, like specifically to like each PSN?
Yes, they were.
What happened?
Sony,
Let's see.
I guess. I don't know.
It's talking about like disappointing stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about our first story, which I don't want to say it's disappointing, because I'm hearing, I guess, back and forth with this update, but Ubisoft was in the news this week, and it's more or less an update of what's going on in the culture of Ubisoft, like with it was like allegations through like HR that like, oh, Rod, do you know what happened at Ubisoft last year?
Yeah, various heads of development were accused of sexual abuse or sexual assault, within the workplace, harassment, and they were ousted, essentially. But Yves Guillemot, I always fuck up his name. He is like, the director, the ringleader, the CEO of Ubisoft, who a lot of people say that, he needs to fall on the sword for that, because he let it go on. A lot of these people who were accused were people in his kind of inner circle. And the kicker here is that the news was that he released a statement saying, hey, we've made all these changes. And in the same week, there was like a Kotaku or game industry article, some article like that, some outlet reported on the fact that anonymously there were a lot of Ubisoft employees coming out saying, hey, not much has changed, actually. Almost nothing. All the promises that they've made up to this point have not occurred. So it's really unfortunate. I can't say totally unexpected. I would actually say it's disappointing on some level, because you would hope that accountability is important in the game industry, particularly at higher points of employment. But it isn't. So, yeah, we kind of are where we are. Yeah, that's what's happening.
I'm just
right
glad
now.
people are stepping up and saying me too. You know, it takes
Sure,
it
yeah.
takes a lot of guts to do that.
Yeah.
And for every person that, there are a lot of people out there who are like, oh, they're just making it up or this or that. You know what? You know what? Some probably are. Some. But if you've ever been a victim of any sort of violence, even if it's just bullying or anything in your family, you know that it takes a lot of strength and it puts a lot of fire on you when you say, "Hey, this person abused me," or this shit happened at this job or whatever. Like that, it's very scary to do, and it's very scary to feel like people are gonna have your back. So I'm just like, believe victims. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I mean, believe victims. Like the number of accounts that have been proven to be fabricated.
Uh-oh. Did we lose
Oh,
him?
did we lose him?
Oh man,
Oh no, he was in the middle of explaining something.
I'm pretty sure he was gonna say like a majority of the those claims do end up being true.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good that people are feeling comfortable enough to say, hey, like, enough. Like, we've had enough of this. Like, this is what's
Right.
going on here. If you are gonna buy our games, if you're gonna support us, you need to know what's happening here.
Because it's like you don't come to work for that sort of thing.
Right,
Like
right.
if anybody that works a job knows that it's stressful enough just doing what you need to do on a daily.
Mm.
Whether that's you're in customer service, you're in game development, you're in retail, you're wherever. Like you don't need your boss or your boss's boss or whatever, like having more like feeling they have more control over you, taking your agency as a person, that sort of thing. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, especially coming off of last year where we had this conversation and you promised us we were going to do better. It's been a whole year. You didn't have a lot else to do. Like it's not like you guys are at the office every day. What happened?
Yep.
I mean,
You know?
it's interesting that they try to put out like this damage control of like 14,000 employees participated in assessments. There was an anonymous questionnaire. 2,000 employees took part in focus groups and listening sessions. Listening sessions, y'all. They're taking note. So whether or not they do something with it, that's what's important. It's all about the action that these companies do. So I guess we'll see. Where this goes, but that's what's going on with Ubisoft right now. Another bit of news that sort of came out is that there's a lot of Switches out in a while, y'all. They put out the Q1 console hardware sell-through performance, and let's just play a game, y'all. People in the chat, everyone on the show, where do you feel that these systems ranked between the Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series X? What do you think? Who's the champ here?
I mean, it's got to be
And
Sony,
and
right?
by how much of a lead do you think they have?
But we're talking about Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series.
Mm-hmm.
And
And-
PS4 though, I think is still there because a lot of people have not gotten a PS5, and the PS4 was like the king of the last gen. And I think they're still. I could be wrong, but I think PS4 is still up there in that conversation. A lot of people still have one, and I don't know. Like you said, James. Like it's kind of like this year I'm waiting to see the thing that's going to make me buy a PS5 because I still don't see it yet. For me personally.
Yeah, so it's really you got to think of we just came through like this we're still in a pandemic, guys, but the Switch, you were able to buy a Switch, and the Switch has some bangers come out over quarantine. So I think it's
Right at the start, even.
right at the start, with like Animal Crossing, and then
Wasn't there a shortage though of Switches at the very beginning of all this?
there was,
When
but
Switch
then
dropped, yeah.
no, like at the beginning of the pandemic, there was
Yeah, the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah.
Oh, it's true. Yeah.
There was, but like I'd never it's not like PlayStation and Xbox where like people just can't even find them in
Sure.
stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. If I go to Best Buy right now, can I find a Nintendo Switch?
Probably, yeah.
I feel like we've done this on the show before. We've tried to look this up, and the answer was no.
Actually, yeah, I can get it in 2 days.
Can you? Oh wow. Okay,
Yeah.
they're doing better.
So- And I was
oh,
gonna
so
say,
go ahead.
and then in the chat, people were saying Switch. It's true. Switch is number one. They sold about
Okay.
5.86 million units in
Yeah, Switch is a beast.
the first quarter of 2021. That's crazy. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Nintendo, they have their flagship IPs, first of all. Second of all, they understand that although some people are always going to, prefer graphics and things like that, most people when they play video games, they just want to have fun and they also just want that shit to work. They want to press one button, the system turns on. They want to press one more button, the game starts. That's it. And as a person who sets up systems all the time, the Switch is the easiest. The Switch is the easiest by far. It's like there's no if there's updating, it takes like no time. It does it in the background. I don't have to worry about it. It's not a thing. There's no like weird bugs. There's no there's an error. There's none of that. It just works. You know.
Yeah.
So
the thing I want to say real quick about the PS5 and Series sales is that like right now it's a little deceiving just because they're selling everything that they're shipping. So
That's so true.
Yeah.
so we really don't know at the moment like what those numbers would actually be like if they just had limitless supply or surprise the coronavirus didn't happen. So any of that stuff, like I'm very curious to see like from maybe a year or so from now, like what these numbers shake out to be. Not implying that Nintendo like anyone's gonna catch up Switch at the moment. I mean, who knows? Switch again is like just a monster that just can't seemingly be stopped. But yeah, in a year or two's time, I'd be interested to revisit these numbers.
Yeah, it says like PS5 is the fastest selling console right now, but that doesn't. That's some wordplay. You know what I mean?
wait, so do they mean like in the sense of that no one can hold them in stores, like the fastest that way, or like I guess more or less like as soon as the system is like on the shelves, it's immediately being sold.
I think that's what they mean. I googled it real quick. Like top selling consoles 2021. It says PS5, according to VentureBeat, is the fastest selling U.S. console ever. But like, I'm kind of like, well, sure, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's selling the best or that the most people have it.
Right. It's like every store got like 15 units, and like all 15
and
units.
those sold.
Right. Exactly. It's not going to be hard to sell all of those. But yeah.
Just a little history here. I just looked this up the other day, and I just thought it was kind of fascinating. So the original Nintendo Game Boy, right? Graphically, hardware, technically on every level, inferior to the Atari Lynx, the Game Gear, the Turbo Express, every other imitator. And yet the original Game Boy outsold all of them and is still in like the top 10 of best-selling devices of all time for a little black and white thing that ran off 4 AA's that had like chibi versions of NES games. And again, that whole thing started with Gunpei Yokoi. Literally, he was on a bus in Japan. He was looking at other people on the bus or on the train, and he saw some kid playing with a calculator, and he thought to himself, what if we made a device that had games on it that was like a calculator? You know what I mean? And it's just like, all I'm saying is, to me, that's a very inspiring notion to know that, like, it doesn't have to have the best graphics, doesn't have to be in color, doesn't have to have Wi-Fi, doesn't have to have, like, anything that the competition has. It just has to be fun and work well and have decent battery life. Like, people just want to have fun, you know? Nintendo always seems to hone in on, like, this deep desire for us to just have fun. And as much as I love Xbox and PlayStation and everything else that's come out ever, I mean, you gotta hand it to Nintendo. They know exactly what they're doing. The Switch tablet itself, this thing right here, this thing, the hardware is really not that amazing. It's not that beefy. It's like a really decent,
it's already like
old when it came out.
Yeah.
Right, it was old when it came. Right. It was like a very souped up Kindle Fire. Yet this is what people are playing right now. You know what I mean? It blows my mind. I'm just like, Nintendo, they've got some secrets. They've got ancient secrets.
I get reminded every time I try to play Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I put it online, and like it becomes a slideshow.
Yeah.
Of the frame rates.
Oh, that's another thing. Just random. I have it right here though. This is it's called a U Green. This is the LAN adapter for Switch. This has changed my life when it comes to playing Smash Online. Just saying. It plugs in USB. And the Switch, once you plug it in, it has a different symbol that recognizes that it's on LAN. It makes Smash totally playable online.
Yes.
Just saying.
So Nintendo, you hear that, right? If or when we get a Switch Pro,
it needs to just have it inherently. Yeah.
Please.
In the dock. In the dock.
Oh, and also integrate party chat into the Switch.
Oh my god, dude! I tried to play Splatoon 2 last weekend, and that was a miserable experience. Like, of trying to just even play with someone in the same room as me online. Like, and the
Really?
fact that we couldn't even, yeah, and we couldn't even play like in the same team. Like, we couldn't party up or group up. That game does not have a party up option. You just have to join on someone in game. Like, like they have to join a matchmaking game and you have to join on them somehow. You would just somehow log on and know that they're on, just assuming that they're not in the same place as I am, and hope that you join the game and that you're on the same team. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. So Splatoon 3, they better have some some more shit than that.
I was gonna say, but everyone has phones, right? That's how you do party chat.
Oh,
Don't do
no.
that to me.
Right.
Oh my
Put that
God.
away.
I swear that like that's where I really want them to focus on. They have the fun down. They've got like the games I want to play. All right, great, awesome. Where is my online functionality? Like I can't even message people like on my friends list. Like how I
Right.
want
Like,
to.
can I get like a Switch Home theme or something too? Like
Something.
just something.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, for 90% of anything I play online, as far as voice chat, it's Discord. But like, I don't even fuck with whatever the game has. But it still should have it because
Right.
a lot of people just aren't set up for that. And Discord is great, but it's it's got a bit of a learning curve. It's not for everybody. Discord is, I feel like, for people who use the internet all the time. But
Right.
like,
It's
not,
still a third party app that you have to go
Yes,
to. Like it's not just in front of you. Right.
Yeah, and Switch, I was just looking at it. There's a menu here where you can go up to like your icon, and then there's like a menu below that, which only happened in the past 6 months or whatever, where you can look at like party invites from various games. But there's never anything in there, and it's up to each game dev to like utilize that. So it's not something that Nintendo, like if they don't do it and they don't tell the devs, then the devs just kind of have to come up with whatever they come up with. And for like Invisigun or for Hyperjam, there are things in place because they've set it up that way. But if the devs don't really get the funding or they don't get like the know-how of like this is how you do it on the Switch, Nintendo just is kind of like, whatever, they can play local, Like when Hyrule Warriors, when the second one came out and it didn't have online, I was like, I'm going to bed. Like, like just how dare you, But anyway, we could rant about that all the time.
All right.
Isn't it amazing though? Top selling.
Top selling.
Still doesn't
by-
have voice chat.
Doesn't have.
What does that say? What does that mean, y'all? Like, does that mean that like
It's all
does
about
that
the
mean our
games.
standards are too high? Does that mean that they just have the secret? Like, what is it?
So I think it's a good price point. I think
Yeah.
that you hear Nintendo, you're gonna have solid games. You have and this is a running joke, Herb. At this point, by anytime we talk about Switch, it gets brought
You
up.
have to.
Chris, have you played Mario Odyssey yet?
No Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Yeah, Galaxy.
And once again, it's still in the
Dude.
plastic.
See, you're just like torturing me at this point. So, by the way, so both of these guys said, both of my co-hosts who I do this show with every single week, and I've dedicated my life and time to, have both said that they would like to play Days Gone before they played Super Mario Galaxy. For the first time.
Wow. I mean, Days Gone is fun and everything, but it's very much like Mario Galaxy. Honestly, as old head as I am, Mario Galaxy is like the best 3D Mario. Like,
Thank you.
there you go.
Thank
I
you.
love 64. I loved Sunshine. Sure. I even loved the Rabbids. I loved what's the other one? Mario 3D World.
Yeah.
Those are cool. Whatever. But Galaxy is a masterpiece. Like it's just like. It's one of those things, again, where, like, you played every platforming game. You played all the Crocs and the Spyros and the Crashes and all of it,
Croc. Wow.
but they still managed to twist it into a
Yep.
way that it's like, wow, I've literally never seen that before.
Yeah.
Like,
But
and then they have the audacity not to put Galaxy 2 on that collection. How dare
Okay, so let me just make clear to save my name here. I've played Galaxy.
yeah.
I've done it.
it's just me.
I'm-
It's just
I don't
me
know
at
what's wrong
this
with
point.
this guy.
I was about to say, y'all, have you seen the motorcycle physics in this game?
Oh, you
like,
stop.
just
All right,
listen,
this
just
is
the,
trolling.
listen. Just the other day, I saw like a bike gang, sort of like ride together down the highway, and I was like, Man, I could do that in Days Gone and like kill some zombies.
Kill some zombies.
Yeah.
Throw a couple Molotovs, burn up a nest,
Mhm.
little stealth action.
Let's
Yep.
go.
Collect some resources. It's fun.
What's the next news item you have?
Days Gone 2, actually.
No,
Wait,
this
really?
was-
No, sorry.
This one-
Thank God.
this one's for you, Ron. This whole section is just for you.
Yeah, I've
we're
had
gonna-
a big fella.
We're gonna talk about Overwatch 2 and the new info that dropped.
Excellent, excellent.
Ooh.
Yes, yes. Overwatch 2. So it was awesome. Last week they dropped a 2-hour stream of Overwatch 2 footage, and it was PvP only. So they've talked about the PvE stuff extensively, but they've been very quiet for PvP.
Right.
Now, I'm a big Overwatch fan. You probably know that if you've been listening to the show for a while. It is the one game that I play consistently.
Who's your main?
Yeah, what was it you say, Herb?
Who's your main?
Okay, so I like a lot of characters. I would probably say I play McCree, Tracer, Reaper a lot. But I'm forced into Reinhardt because no one wants to main tank ever. But
Who wants
Reinhardt,
that pressure?
but Ryan is cool. You're right, James. I mean that's the question that people ask themselves. So when I main tank, when I have to fill, like I'm playing Ryan, and that's cool. I like Ryan. But so with this. We've been kind of playing a static game for the past like year or so. Blizzard has not really done much to change Overwatch. But right now, I will say that the tweaks that they've made up to this point make it into the best spot that Overwatch has ever been. So what has Blizzard done at this point? They say, what can we do with Overwatch 2 to really fuck things up? Not even like in a bad way. No, I don't mean like, oh, they fucked it up as in it's bad. Like just kind of shake the formula basically.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they have made the game 5v5. They have taken away the main, or really one of the tank roles. And that is a big game change. So a lot of people might say, okay, they've subtracted a player. Like, well, who cares? Well, it's a big deal because taking away one of the tank roles means that fights can now be more dynamic. That also changes the utility of a main tank, which is a Rhine, Winston, or a Orisa. Yeah, maybe Sigma, but then it also delineates them from the off tanks like a Hog or a Diva. It also means that you no longer have to synergize with another tank, which means that the tank queue is typically the lowest. It's the one that needs the most players to start a game usually, because again, like James said, like no one wants the pressure of tanking. I also think that tanking is it is the harder role, like out of the other two, from support and DPS. DPS, you point, aim, shoot. Support, keep your team topped up. I'm not saying that those are easy necessarily, but like I'm saying that they're easy in concept. They're easy to realize what you do. What do I do with Mercy? Hold the beam trigger, heal my team. What do I do with Soldier? Aim the gun, pull the trigger. With Rhine, there's a lot of different things you have to be cognizant of, like where your positioning is on the team. You have to make space between yourself and the other team. I don't want to get like too deep into like Overwatch meta here, but like, you know, that's it. These are the kind of things that making the game 5v5 is going to change going forward.
Cool.
So they've done that. They revealed a bunch of new maps. I think they talked about 3 or 4 of them. One of which is Lucio's hometown, and I think it was Rio, maybe, or somewhere. And it was awesome because it actually takes place in like his club. In one part of it, it's a payload map. It's fucking sick. And so the new engine that they've done, it looks really, really good. Everybody looks nice. The maps themselves look beautiful and colorful. It's got that Overwatch flair that I really enjoy. Overwatch has always been like a super. We've talked a lot about positivity early in the show. Like Overwatch is that game kind of encapsulated. It's always been about like.
I was gonna say, wait, you talking about the game or the
Positivity?
community?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about the game. Like the
Okay.
game itself. The community has not always necessitated that. But I mean, there are some good people in there from what I've seen. I've engaged with the community online. It's not great all the time as with any online game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
But
just internet gaming.
that's just internet gaming. Yeah, right.
No, but I get you though. Like the vibe of the game is very bright and colorful, and like, yeah, let's do it. Let's team up. You know, like
Exactly. It's
yeah.
very like good guys want to be good. Very Captain America, Superman type thing.
Yeah.
So, and and I really enjoy that. So yeah, I mean, they revealed a lot of that stuff. They talked a lot about some of the more subtle changes, like for instance, Zarya looks fucking broken. I can't wait to play her. She has 2 charges on her shield. So, and you know, before you only gave 1 shield to like yourself and 1 shield to an ally, and you were on a cooldown. Now she has 2 bubbles that she can give herself and her allies. So technically 4 bubbles that she can give out at once before she's on a cooldown. And yeah, James, your face is pretty much what I did. I was like, oh, really?
That's
And I
interesting.
do want to say they mostly did this because of like the change of just bringing it down to 1 tank. Like they sort of had to
Yes.
rebalance the game.
Exactly. That
That's
was
even
my
crazier, right? Because you could cover basically half your team now.
So yes, the cooldown I think is I don't have the exact numbers on the cooldown, but it should accommodate that. The only thing I'm kind of worried about with Zarya is the charge rate hasn't been changed, so she could basically stay topped up like pretty much for most of a game, which the devs even said they were like, we might tweak that a little bit. But and even in the footage that they showed, she was just beaming through people. It was kind of crazy. And so what I really enjoyed is actually what you said, Chris, about like having to buff the tanks. I thought that was really interesting. They're really looking into buffing the off tanks specifically and changing the main tank's utility so they're not just like stand behind my shield and being very defensive, because nobody wants to play tank and be overly defensive. You want to be Reinhardt and smash some shit sometimes. You want to be able to have your team easily support you. So for instance, Reinhardt can cancel his charge, turn it into 2 fire strikes.
Yes.
He has better control over his charge, so he can actually round corners now when he's doing that. So he is more of an offensive juggernaut, and that's really what they're looking to do with a lot of these characters. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. The only negative is I have no idea when this thing is coming out. We saw it a few years ago, and it doesn't seem like it's coming out this year. They just canceled BlizzCon apparently this year, so I'm pretty sure we're not seeing Overwatch 2 in 2021, which sucks, but oh well.
More time to balance it, I guess.
Yeah, right.
I'm excited for this though. It's been a while since I played Overwatch, but I'm hyped to get back into it.
My question to you guys is like, is this enough? So, I mean, James, you were kind of getting into that, but like, would this be interesting enough for you guys to jump back in, or does this look like more of the same? I hear a lot of people saying that this is Overwatch 1.5. I'm not interested, and then I hear others saying, "Hey, oh man, this actually would get me back into it." I'm curious what you guys think.
I would say visually, it does give me 1.5 kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Like, of course, a couple palette updates here and there, and maybe just some balancing changes. I do like what they've added on so far. Like, I'm looking at my boy Zenyatta. Even if it's this minor thing, like knowing who I've orbed and who I haven't, that's cool to me.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know if it gives me full sequel vibes yet.
I think it's enough of a change. I don't know. I get hyped for stuff like this. So it's enough of a change for me to be like, some of these characters are playing a little differently. I sort of want to see. I want to play Zarya. I want to see how fun this is now. And then like I'm a Rhine player, so being able to not charge off the map. Thank you, Blizzard, so much. That will save me from a lot of embarrassing moments. Having 2 fire strikes is also pretty cool. So like these are thoughtful changes.
Yeah.
The
Very
question
deliberate.
I was unsure of though, isn't it still like cross play with the older version too?
It is, right. So people who own 1 will play the multiplayer component for free. They don't get any of the PvE stuff. You do have to pay for that. But if you own Overwatch 1, no matter where it is, on a console, PC, whatever, you'll get 2 for free.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
I've not played like a ton of Overwatch, but I've definitely played like sessions of it with friends.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm Agent 76 or Widowmaker or Roadhog. Lucas is Roadhog main all the way. And also I think Hammond is like the coolest character ever. Like how did that happen? I don't know, but cool, and I love it. I like it. I guess it's one of those things where there's like a million games to play with a million people and communities to get into. So Overwatch did not like grab me, but that's no fault of the game or the community or anything. It's just there's a sea of games. I think what I saw of 2, I mean, it does look like a 1.5, but again, being able to play with people who have the first one, that's pretty fucking cool. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen like ever.
Yeah, all
You
the
know?
skins that you've accumulated in 1 will transfer over to 2, so you don't lose anything, which is
That's
kind of neat.
really good. That's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
So there's some questions in the chat. So what happens to the characters in Overwatch 1? Do the abilities stay the same?
Oh, great question. No. Well, some characters. So they've confirmed. It's tough because Blizzard has kind of been a little wishy-washy with how they've approached this. So, to my understanding, they have highlighted some changes. They haven't talked about full reworks for characters. They have teased that Bastion is getting a full rework. Maybe Doomfist is getting a full rework. And by full rework, I mean like a Symmetra style change where like they're changing her kit. So essentially what she can do, or I should say what Bastion can do in this particular instance, that's changing. We don't know how. But right now they seem to be mostly giving people maybe a few different abilities or changing how they work slightly.
And I think a lot of these changes were changes that they were already considering because they have, what is it called, the PTR that they have?
Yes.
Where they pretty much run tests on updates that they want to do, and whether or not like it's popular is, they'll actually put it in a game. If it doesn't work, then they'll like, all right, this didn't work, so we'll just remove it.
That's a really great point because they talked about that on the stream. They said that they did a 1-3-2 test on the PTR, which was 1 tank, 3 DPS, 2 support, just to kind of test the waters, to like publicly to see how people would be receptive to 1 tank. And they said it went well enough to where they thought that this was the direction they wanted to go. They really do pay attention to that stuff.
And what I like is that everything that we're talking about now can completely change by the time this game comes out. Because remember when Overwatch first came out, there was it was like the Wild West. If you wanted a team full of Bastions, you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and this game has changed so much. As long as it's at the end of the day, as long as it's fun, that's what we care about.
That's all that matters. I've put an amount of hours into this game I will not disclose right now, but it is a lot. I have played it the most out of any game this past generation, consistently for 5 years. So you can calculate that. I guess
that's a very tall order. When any gamer that I meet, especially one with your knowledge of games and your interest in multi genres, multi platforms, all that. To say that that's the number 1 game you've played in the past decade, that's a lot. So,
thanks. It's cool, and they made a really good game for me. And it was something that it wasn't even on my radar when it came out. I think the beta released, I was like, it's a Blizzard thing, it'll probably be all right. And then I was like, damn, I'm hooked instantly. So and I've been playing it ever since. And I've only taken maybe a couple breaks in between there, but I've been playing it pretty consistent. I mean, I'm playing it right now. The anniversary event is going on. I'm getting all the skins. I've got a few people I like to play with, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. I see what each of your points kind of are on this. Some part of me is like, man, for someone who's played a lot of this, I kind of was hoping for more Overwatch 2-ness of this. I want more. We haven't seen many more characters yet. They're promising multiple new people. We've seen Sojourn, who's a black woman. We have not had a black woman yet in the franchise,
which is unbelievable considering how many characters they have.
Yeah, and the diversity of the characters too.
I'll say, looking at you, Smash Brothers.
Right? For real. I'm 80-something characters, y'all, for real.
Yeah.
Damn.
But on the other hand, I'm like, man, I'm going to play this anyway because I just play Overwatch a lot. So, I'm looking forward to it and hope that they've got more surprises in store. So, yeah, that's it. That's been your Overwatch minute.
So just to be clear for anybody listening out there, if you're interested in part 2, before it comes out, obviously, because it's not out yet, but even when it comes out, having 1 will still get you in the game.
Correct. It will get you in Overwatch 2, the multiplayer.
That's very good to hear because that makes me more down because we already have 1. I just haven't touched it in a while, but that definitely inspires me to continue getting into it.
Yeah, definitely. It just strikes me as they're trying to make Overwatch into a platform more than more so than a franchise or a series of boxed titles. I am curious how that develops though, as Jeff Kaplan has left Blizzard, and he was a big proponent apparently of like making sure all this stuff transferred over. Um, so I'm just curious, like if we get to Overwatch 3 in another 5 years, like, are they as generous at that point?
Division, what have you done?
What have you
Right,
done?
right. So yeah, we'll see. But for right now, I'll focus on Overwatch 2. Hopefully that's good. I think it'll be solid. I won't have too much to worry about. And,
I
yeah.
feel like the way the industry is like constantly moving, especially with going on with our topic that we're going to talk about in a couple minutes.
Good segue. Yeah.
I feel like Overwatch has set itself up to sort of like, I don't know, they can make this game free to play, but people will still like buy the loot boxes. Like this is a game that I actually had to like sit down and tell myself, yo, Chris, like you're spending $20 a pop to buy skins for a video game. And 80% of the time when I'm buying like these loot boxes, I'm not even getting the skin I want.
Yeah.
Ranks
80%, y'all. Like I'm dead serious. If there's an event going on, maybe like the last day, I'm like, all right, I don't have time to like grind out for this new skin. Let me just buy it. Nope. Still don't have that skin. But
Yeah, I played actually a little bit of Fortnite on Sunday for the first time in forever. Holy shit, that game's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the first thing I got when I got on, because I had some friends who wanted to play from out of state that I used to hang out with, and the first thing that I asked when I logged on, I was like, okay, where's Ryu and Chun-Li? And they're like, oh, dude, sorry, you kind of just gotta get it when you get it, when it's in the store. It could be in a loot box, maybe, and I'm like, I'm like, just let me just buy it if I want to buy it. Like that would be a reason for me to start getting into it. If I could be Ryu in Fortnite, like, okay, like that gets me more into it as a fighting game person. But yeah, the whole model of like skins and loot boxes, and maybe you'll get it and maybe you won't. It can be really disheartening sometimes to people. It can be like the thing that pushes you, on either side of the fence in terms of getting into a game or not.
Right.
Yeah. So specifically this episode, we're going to go ahead and talk about games as a service and how that works. And I feel like games as a service is a term that we throw around a lot. And it's something that I think should be just sort of explained and like sort of like broken down. So when we talk about games as a service, it's essentially a way that developers use to monetize video games. Pretty much after the release, they're still able to pull in revenue through microtransactions, different DLCs, season passes, and as of 2020, the gaming, like just not even the gaming industry, but like the video content of just people just watching video games is a $9.3 billion industry. That's a billion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel like now is sort of shifting over to, we're seeing more people play like these, Fortnites. We're seeing more people playing Apex. Like I know people that's literally all they play.
Yeah.
Is Fortnite, is Apex, and it's interesting to sort of sit back now and like look at what they're doing and how they're doing it. It's crazy. It's crazy that the gaming landscape has changed. It's gone from going to an arcade and pouring a bunch of money at the arcade to then
quarters, bro.
Buying a home console and just buying the game, just straight up. You want to buy the game because that seems foreign at this point. Just buying the game.
Wait, you get the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Wait, it works?
And it works. To now, I think it was. I think this whole the whole time we've been doing this show, we've always had like the conversation of like just digital games and like where it's gonna go. And a couple of years ago, the swap finally happened. There were now more people downloading games than actually buying games from brick and mortar stores. So now's, I think, is the perfect time to sort of sit back and sort of look at games as a service and what that means just for the industry. And I just want to open up the floor. Like, how do you guys feel about games as a service just in general?
Well, I worked for Starbucks for a long time, and something that Starbucks always pushed really hard, which I think is kind of what's happened with games and games as a service, and many specific games like Final Fantasy 14 is a big one. Um, Starbucks' whole thing, if y'all have never worked there, their whole thing is they want to be the third place. It's there's home, there's work, and there's Starbucks.
Ah, okay.
That's their thing. They
Gotcha.
want to be the third
Hmm.
place in your mind. You go to hang out there, you go to socialize there, you meet dates there, you hook up there.
I'd say they're a
You
little
you
bit pretentious. Like they
it's
think.
yeah, it's pretentious and it's
Yeah.
also kind of like
But it's like that
ew,
though, right?
but it
Like,
is like that. That's
yeah,
the
it's
thing.
like that.
And when you work at one, the same people will be in there 12 hours on a
Yeah.
laptop in a corner ordering coffee after coffee over time, and they live there. Like that
It's
is
a
their
culture.
thing.
Like Starbucks perpetuates a culture.
Yeah.
Right. So I think in that same vein, I think a lot of gaming devs and a lot of games have become that for people. Lucas spends a large majority of his time in Final Fantasy 14. Of course,
choice.
he's old school. He used to play 11, so he moved from 11 to 14. It's a whole thing. But that's the thing. For him, that is like a third place. Like it's not a place that actually exists. It's this virtual space that he knows. Oh, I got to log in the game. Oh, I got to check on my free company. Oh, my house is doing this. Oh, they're doing this event today, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, like literally, he's every 2 hours he's doing a 20-minute event with his whole free company where he brings them to an ocean area where you can fish and get a bunch of like rank ups through fishing, specifically only fishing. And I'm just like the mentality. I don't really have that mentality with games, and maybe I'm missing out on something. For me, a game is I sit down and I play this game and then I'm done with it, or I play games with friends, we have a session, and then I peace. But like that gaming as a third place is kind of daunting. It's a little frightening, but it's also kind of like people are already doing it. Overwatch is one of those things. WoW is one of those things. Definitely, Fantasy Star Online is one of those things. Like, it's just I don't know. I mean, how do I feel about it? I feel like it's inevitable, and also I feel like there are different ways to do it. And some games are definitely worth it more than others. Pretty much everyone I know who plays Final Fantasy 14 says it's totally worth it. The subscription, the entry fee is enjoyable. It's satisfying. They get what they want to get out of it. They have all their friends on it, and later this year they're going to do cross data center, so everybody will be connected.
That's cool.
So I'm kind of like, you know what? If that's how a company is going to do it, then follow that model.
Right.
Don't sink us, financially sink us entirely, with something with promises and this and that. Like, make it like Final Fantasy 14. Like, do the whole thing. Go all the way if that's how you're going to do it.
Realm Reborn, not the first version. Just gotta make
Right,
that clear.
I was like, real quick to bring up a point. A couple weeks ago, I talked about me jumping back onto my Oculus for like the first time, which seems like in months. And every time I jump on the Oculus, I'll jump into alt space and just keep like just to see how everyone's doing, because there's a community of people there that is growing. And for one, we're seeing like more representation. Like the amount of black people that I see in alt space now is great. It's great to see.
That's cool.
And you know how we are. We are creative people. Like this morning, I saw someone and at this point, it's funny, on Instagram, people are making profiles of their alt space avatars, and like that's like their way of like, oh, this is me on Instagram, but as like my alt space person. So that's nuts, because now all I have on my suggested friends are just like avatars. It's a little weird. But this morning I saw they put out a trailer for a house party that they're gonna do later this week. So
That sounds dope.
yeah, like
Nice.
they like a full blown trailer that they shot in game,
Wow.
and like, which is creative. Is great to see. So I definitely I feel like I say this all the time. Games as a service, like I'm okay with that feature. But Rod and James, I want to hear from you guys. How do you guys feel about games as a service?
You go ahead, James, if you have something. You sound like you did.
I don't know, man. I guess it's all about execution at the end of the day for me. Because I've seen the games as a service that come and go, the ones that do really well, like the From Reborn that you speak of. I was part of that for a good while.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Base Squad Free Company. But then there's, of course, there are the ones that feel like they have bait games, and the whole purpose is to get you to buy microtransactions. Looking at you, Avengers. Looking at you, Anthem. Like,
Oh yeah.
again, great ideas, but they're rushed because it's just about making the buck.
Yep.
So look, if you're gonna go with that Starbucks model where you want to be the third place, I want to be. Don't give me a crappy house.
Right.
Like,
Right.
clean up after yourself. Make sure that when I order something, it works every time. Because when I go to Starbucks and I order a drink, I know what I'm getting: my iced caramel macchiato, extra caramel, no questions. Everything's in there. It just works. But
It's
then
not
when
like
you
it's
get
not like McDonald's where it's a honestly there's a McDonald's like down the street from me, and it's literally like a random, like I'll ask for a chicken sandwich and get a Big Mac. So at this point
Are
it's
you
like
serious?
Yes. There have
it's not even the same meat.
there have been multiple like occasions where like I'll either get extra stuff, I'll be missing stuff. I did a TikTok last month about like there's like a secret menu for McDonald's. So we ordered I think it's called a McKillen or something. It's something Irish Big Mac, where it's essentially a Big Mac, but instead of the Big Mac like patty, you're getting the quarter pounder patties instead.
I'd rather have that actually.
And exactly, it sounds good, right? So
Okay.
we order it, we drive 20 minutes home because this was like on the way home, and I'm like getting ready for the whole reveal. Let's look at the sandwich. Let's like eat it. Let's like enjoy it. Open up the bag and it's not there. It's a Cinnabon.
McDonald's has Cinnabon?
Right.
McDonald's says, and it was decent. It was all right. It was cool.
No, Chris. It's not decent. You ordered a sandwich.
Right. It's decent for that order, but not for your order. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
crazy.
just just because we're talking about McDonald's.
Bro, listen to gangbang.
No, you know what a McGangbang is?
Yeah.
No.
You know what's up, Chris. Yeah, that was like just back in the day. That was like the way. Like you go to McDonald's, you take out the sandwiches, you put them together, you make this big ass. Oh, that was so good.
Oh, that's pretty clean. I do like the way that looks. I'll give you that. That's cool. But yeah, games as a service though. Yeah, they're great when they're done correctly.
Yeah.
Like most things in life. But I would personally, I still prefer my single player experiences. Get in, get out, like you were saying, Herb.
Yeah.
Because like, there's too many games to play for me to sit down and be like, I'm just gonna stay here and do this every day.
Yeah. There's so few games that I like. Here's the weirdest paradox of games as a service, is that fighting games have yet to really pull it off well, and or just don't. And that's where I would find my third place, is in like some sort of fighting game client. Like, let's say you downloaded a single client, and on that client was all the major fighting games: Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5, Guilty Gear Strive, and it was on it like a client with a universal chat with commands and all that. Just like, you know how Final Fantasy 14 is set up.
Right.
You can like macro into all kinds of shit. You can talk to specific people or specific groups. It's extremely intricate and well thought out. The chat system, the infrastructure of the game, and I feel like if fighting games could pull that off and actually like, kind of join forces and be on the same client together, that would be my third place. That would be my games as a service like hub. But it just doesn't, other than like Fightcade, which is like its own thing. It just doesn't really exist. So yeah, it has to be done right, and it has to be like games that we want to play.
That's actually a genius idea. Like when you said that out loud, I'd never thought about that.
Like, how sick would that be? You could just be like, oh shit, I see Chris is playing, Street Fighter 5, but I'm over here playing Tekken 7, but we can see that we're doing that without having to use like some external PlayStation network. It would be like the fighting game network. It would be like one thing. Anyway,
do you think that's possible though?
I think the biggest thing is that the internet has to work. It has to use like the same same type of
rollback.
Yeah.
And also all the companies have to agree on like, hey, Namco, Capcom, Arc System, like we're all on the same page. We all want this to happen this way, which is probably not ever going to happen.
But don't they already do like the Japanese game like roundtable, like fighting game roundtable or something like that?
Tell me what you mean.
Where it's like I've seen people from like Capcom and Namco come together and they talk about like the future of their games or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's where that conversation would start. And I mean, let's be real. That's where any conversation about Capcom versus SNK 3 would start. That's what I want. That's what I've wanted since 2001.
I'm just saying, man, it's more possible now than ever.
It is.
And
KOF
they're
15 is coming, and Terry's just like in every game now, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, games as a service. I think it has to be done right, and it has to be the games we want to play. And I think, at least for fighting games, there's a market for that. Like fighting game people want that. We just don't know we want it because we're too busy playing fighting games. You know. But Rod, I'm sorry, you didn't get to.
No. I mean, I don't have too much to add, honestly. You guys have pretty much nailed exactly what I was going to say. I would echo the sentiments of, like when I think about successful live service games, I think of things like Overwatch. And, irrespective of how I feel about the game, like, yes, I really love that game, but I'm thinking of like, okay, are the practices that they're employing predatory in any way? Like, is my gameplay impacted by how much money they want me to spend on this game right now? And the answer to that is no, not really, not in Overwatch, because everything is cosmetic. So, I mean, you just got through hearing, like, I've been playing this game for 5 years. I've never bought a loot box ever.
Wow.
I've earned all the loot boxes through like my time actually playing the game. Like I spent my $60. It might be a different story if it was literally free to play. Then like to support like the team, then I would probably do that. But like, I haven't. I've just played the game and gotten most of the skins that you could probably get in the game. So, that I feel like is successful because I get kind of what I want out of it. I get a lot of the extra cosmetics that look nice and that I enjoy on top of a game I already like. Destiny, I feel like kind of rides the line. I think that sometimes it can be really fucking great. And I think the game itself is generally very good moment to moment. I do think you get on that hamster wheel, and it's kind of the epitome of a lot of these live games where you reach the end, but the game doesn't want you to stop playing.
It keeps going.
Right.
Yeah, and it keeps going, and you kind of get into that loop of like, well, I guess I'll go grind the Vault of Glass for like the third time or whatever, like whatever the case is, and the rewards are just you end up getting diminishing returns the longer that you play.
Right.
So I do feel like Destiny is kind of a middle ground, and I feel like someone who gets it completely wrong is something like Avengers, like James said. That game just falls flat on its face when it comes to every single element. There's like 10 currencies. There's not enough like
content.
Yeah, there's not enough content to justify the grind. Like this game would actually be not bad if it was just the single player stuff. Because it's not a bad game. A lot of people shit on Avengers and thought that it was like terrible, but like it all the multiplayer live service stuff was that. Everything else outside of it was fine.
Right.
So, and Anthem, I think you guys brought up Anthem earlier too. Also a great example of it. Warzone, I want to talk about for a second because I also feel like that's another one that like seemingly doesn't ride the line, but it absolutely does. Like it's completely free to play. You can download it. Anyone can play it. The battle pass is actually, I will say the battle pass is kind of cool in the sense that like you'll get a certain number of they say COD points or whatever, and you can like spend it on the battle pass and purchase that. But as you're playing the game, even if you don't buy it, you're unlocking battle pass stuff. So there's like 100 tiers per season. You're playing the game just normally, not purchasing anything, and you're still gaining tiers. And there are even certain free tiers that you get. So there are certain items, like maybe every 10, 15 tiers or so, you're getting something for free. So that's neat. And then you can just purchase a tier. So it's like you can play the game, like play 100 hours or whatever, and then purchase the battle pass and everything's already unlocked for you basically because you've already played the game. It's kind of a mildly insidious way to try to get you to spend money because I mean when you look at the prices in that fucking store, it's like $20. Keep in mind this is a first person game. This is a first person game with character models that you're buying.
Right.
And it's like $20, right? So you're gonna see your character at the very beginning and at the drop, and that's it.
Right, and also like just I have to add that like COD, I mean like don't get me wrong, I absolutely have had my time with it. I've played some of Warzone and I played the fuck out of Modern Warfare like back in the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be real. It's like the same game. Like it really like it scratches the exact same itch, and in my opinion, nothing more, nothing less.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like I can only scratch that so many times before I'm ready for like upgrades, and I don't just mean skins. I mean like ways to play, mobility, like things you can do in the game. I don't know. Give me a zip line. Give me a freaking jet or something. Like
Yeah.
Fortnite. That's what Fortnite does so well. As much as I'm not really a Fortnite person, that's what they do well. Now you
Mhm.
can drive. Now you
That's
have this other thing. Now you can build all this other shit. Now you can
Now
be
you
can
free.
breathe.
Like it's just like
The progression is
they
crazy.
don't stop. They don't stop.
Yeah, so I mean that's a really great point, and honestly, kind of my biggest problem in the last couple months. At the very beginning of the pandemic, Warzone dropped, and I started playing it a lot because it was a way to connect with friends, and a lot of people that I didn't get to see anymore in person. So Warzone became much more of a social like obligation that I kind of adhered to, rather than like, I mean, not taking anything away from the game. I do think Warzone is really really good, and I do genuinely enjoy it. But the social aspect of it does keep me together, and you guys have talked about that kind of over the course of this conversation. And where I've kind of started getting a little perturbed is that like when it was time to make a new map, like we've been playing the same map for a year, and I know this game is like there's like 8 studios working on this game. Like it's to me it's crazy to me that like we haven't had like this was their opportunity to make a new map. So Herb, if you don't know, you may have seen, but like they nuked the Verdansk map.
Okay.
And in its place, it was the 80s. It was the Cold War stuff, basically, like the aesthetic. Because it's tying into the Cold War stuff, because they want people to purchase Cold War. So what they've started doing, and this is kind of getting into like from the good stuff I like about Warzone and what I think it does well, to the kind of this is live service kind of going bad, is now the guns that you get in Warzone, you can only really level up in Warzone or in Cold War. So you can no longer go into the multiplayer of Modern Warfare and do that, because before you could go play multiplayer in Modern Warfare like 2019, which by the way, great game. Didn't give a fuck about Call of Duty since the old Modern Warfare franchise or trilogy, and this one is actually legit good. But you could no longer go into that multiplayer, level up those guns, and go back into Warzone. You only could play Warzone or purchase Cold War in order to like build your loadouts the way that you wanted to and level up the guns, because
So they
What did you say,
patched it
James?
out, basically.
Sorry, you cut out a bit.
So they basically patched out that ability, because I remember that was a thing that they touted when they 1st were talking about Cold War.
Yeah, they patched it. Well, I guess they patched that. I have no idea. That's what I'm assuming they did. They basically made it so if you want the full utilization, even some of the items in the Battle Pass are Black Ops exclusive. Not Black Ops, Cold War exclusive. So it's not a ton, but there are a few things that are in there that it's like, ooh, for use only in Black Ops, and it's like, well,
shady.
shit. Yeah, like I don't really want to purchase Cold War. I just want to play like Warzone or like the Call of Duty I've already purchased. So yeah, that's where I think they're taking it. That's where the direction I think they're going with Warzone. So in a year's time, I imagine with whatever comes out this year, it's rumored to be a World War II version. So if we get a 40s Verdansk, like that might be what happens next, because now they're doing like 80s action themed, like Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone is in Warzone now. And that's dumb. That's fun. Like whatever. That's cool. But like,
Rambo?
yeah.
That's kind of dope, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm definitely not saying like it's a bad thing. It's kind of cool. I don't have much nostalgia for the 80s. I was a 90s kid, so like, whatever. But it's the incentive on the Cold War stuff that I'm just like, you're just trying to funnel me into this game that I don't want now, and that feels bad. So
Yeah, and it feels like they're kind of just, like we all go to games for different things. For me, it's usually a very satisfying game loop and very very well designed gameplay. Like I need the actual like thing that I'm doing with the controller to hook me, because I come from arcades and fighting games, so I need that to hook me. The visuals and all that like are great, and I can absolutely respect them, but the presentation is less important to me than the gameplay hook itself. And I feel like they're just taking, essentially, they're taking the addicts of that gameplay loop, which are plentiful. So many people are playing it, and they're just kind of like, I mean, they're kind of doing like really shitty drug dealers do on the street, where they're just like, "Oh, you want some of this? All right, now it's this much.
That
Now,
first
you
hit's
gotta
free.
have that. Even though, oh
Yep.
no, I know you got that little baggie before, but now you need
Right.
this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you
it's
got the
just
hit.
like,
You need more.
and
Man.
and I like, and I know it's a business, and I know they have to make money, and I know that's something we always talk about on the show. Is that that paradox of like, it is a business, they need to make money to keep going, but I'm just kind of like, well, how much does COD need? Like how much more, how much further can it go before people
Yeah.
start to say, I'm tired of it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
You know?
that's where
Well-
I'm at.
Well,
Yeah,
I wanted
Chris.
to sort of like I guess wrap up the conversation with like sort of looking at the future and sort of seeing where it could go, because like we sort of said already, some games do it right. Fortnite, as much as you can hate Fortnite, you got to give it props for like pulling in all of these franchises. Like, it's crazy. Master
Stuff
Chief,
you never thought you'd see.
Ryu, Chun-Li, Kratos,
Right.
Batman.
Batman,
Driving their vehicles and stuff too.
Le-
They have like all these
LeBron
licensed
James.
vehicles. Yeah.
Are the Power
Travis,
Rangers in it
Travis
yet?
Scott had a fucking concert in it. Like,
That was actually
damn.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
actually really
so
cool.
it's obvious that that's working, and then like I think last week we talked about who's the developer that said they're gonna lean towards more free to play games.
Ubisoft.
So it's something that is in the works. These companies are looking at it, but I sort of want to see where this sort of goes, because we're sort of at a point where we have like these free to play games, we have like these premium like single player experiences. And then we also have like subscription games. So you have like your Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft. What else is subscription? I guess you can sort of count, I guess, like Warzone and all the like with the season passes and everything. Destiny
keep
does
buying.
it. Destiny does it year after year with like these expansions. So I like where does this go? Like, at some point, because there's also stuff like Game Pass. There's these services that you're just subscribing to the service and you can just download these games. Just the other day, Netflix, there's like word that Netflix is like looking into entering the gaming industry, or like there's some sort of like talk about that. I think it's wild.
They should have bought GameFly like 12 years ago.
Yes.
And have already should have been doing it. But anyway.
Yeah. So, but like, where would you guys want to see this, and what do you think is like more realistic? Like, where do you feel like the future is with games as a service? Because I don't know, I feel like there's a couple of systems that work. I had pulled up some stats on like how much money some of these companies have made. So we brought up Overwatch, which their model was like a one-time purchase, but there's microtransactions.
Right.
With the numbers that I pulled up, this is like the last time that they reported the numbers, which for Overwatch was a couple years ago, but the net earnings was $1 billion. At this point, of course, they've made more money, but that's a game that just, they sold it once, and they got that much money off of microtransactions, which is wild.
Yeah.
You look at Fortnite, which right now is like the king of this free-to-play microtransaction model. They, their net earnings was reported at $5 billion. So that's clearly like the winner. That's clearly like where developers are sort of like leaning towards. Like, we're seeing more battle royales that are sort of like, we saw it with I think it was the Apex and Fortnite, like stealing like just gameplay ideas from each other. So Fortnite is the one to look at. But then you have stuff like World of Warcraft, which is a like very old school, with a monthly subscription, and if you want to count like the expansions that come out, that too. Net earnings, and of course with this being a franchise that's been out for a while, last reported net earnings is $8 billion, and that's a lot of money.
But
Yeah,
in
WoW
the grand
has their
scheme,
hook.
it's not. If you think about how long Fortnite's been around and making $5 billion,
That's true. That's true.
and how long Warcraft has been around and only making 8,
Yeah. But still, like, yeah, WoW definitely still has its hooks in people.
I still have a group of friends that like they're still trying to get me to play that game. I refuse.
Yeah. Frequently on stream, people will come in and will be talking about games, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I play WoW all the time," or League or Dota.
Oh, right.
I personally though, like, to answer your question, first of all, if the fighting game client thing that I was talking about, if something like that materializes, I'm in. I would pay, you know, 10, $15 a month. I would pay a Netflix fee per month to have access to a legitimized and good network level client that contains all the modern fighting games instead of having to buy them all individually from different companies with different netcodes. I would do that. Um, Also, I think to answer your question specifically, like I was just talking about how, like, you know, just for me, and I know I'm not every gamer, but for me, I get bored of stuff pretty easy. You know, like you, Chris. It's like, all right, this is great. Okay, in 2 weeks, all right, some stuff sticks. Some stuff I'm like, okay, I'm definitely gonna go back to that. I make a list, and I do go back to it eventually. But most games, it's kind of like, yeah, that was cool. All right, next. What I think I would love to see is sort of like, how do I put this? Like different genres of the same franchise. So let's say if you're paying, you know, if Overwatch 2 drops, right? And as corny as it sounds, right? But let's say you start paying a monthly subscription, and under the Overwatch umbrella, just as an example, now there's an Overwatch Racer. Now there's an Overwatch, you know, light gun game. Now there's an Overwatch VR game. Like in the same way that MK used to do it, like Mortal Kombat used to do, like it would be the fighting game, right? You bought Mortal Kombat Deception, you bought the fighting game. But in the fighting game was also a puzzle game that was Mortal Kombat, a racing game that was also Mortal Kombat, and even though those were just side games or whatever, people like there's like communities of people who loved that shit. Not because it was the best puzzle game or the best racing game, but because it was a Mortal Kombat puzzle
Right.
game or racing game.
They had the characters that they wanted to see. Yeah.
Right, and with the lore, with the music, with it even
Right.
when I used to remember, you'd win like the kart racing thing, and it would be like fatality. Like, you know, it was just cool because it was all part of Mortal Kombat. And
Right.
so for me, I'm kind of like, if something like COD or Destiny or Final Fantasy 14, if they really want to like build up their brand, to me, just appealing to my kind of gamer who has a short attention span, I want to see like entire universes getting built where here's the Final Fantasy fighting game that you want. Here's the Final Fantasy racing game that you didn't know that you want, but we're just going to include it as part of this whole universe of this IP. I think that would be cool.
I think
know.
I think
Well,
the
you might be
closest to
getting Final
that.
Fantasy Dark Souls.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I heard
right.
about
That should
that.
be like
Yeah.
part of the thing where it's like if you're paying for Final Fantasy 14, guess what? You get this other Final Fantasy style game too. You know.
I was gonna say League. They're sort of doing that, but it's not under the same umbrella. Like there's
Yeah, but the League fighting game is coming though.
yeah, League
It looks
fighting
pretty sick.
game. You know, now it's on like there's a League on the phone. What else?
Yep.
I think there's like a first. Well, not the. I mean, I think there's a first person shooter also, right? It's coming out
On the League?
for League. Like with like League characters. I don't play League, so I'm not sure. But as it's sort of like it reminds me of what you're talking about, of like a centralized like universe, but like different games combining like all of those characters. So like if you have a favorite character in one game, you could use them in like, you know, a racing game or a sports
Right.
game.
Or conversely, if you're not into that universe at all, like I'm not really into Final Fantasy, but if I knew that I could go to this like client or this universe and start playing a different genre of game with Final Fantasy characters, I'd be more inclined to do it. Because I'm not really into like MMOs, but I am into fighting games and racing games and platforming games and first person shooters. So like what if they took Dirge of Cerberus, right? And Crisis Core and all that other shit and just stuck not necessarily those games, but stuck all of these different genres that have incorporated Final Fantasy into a single client. I think that would just it would only be better for them. It would only make them more money and bring more different kinds of players into it.
So to sort of tie back to our, I think, episode last week about
Yeah.
cryptocurrencies, like there are companies that are now like leaning into cryptocurrency to build games where if you want to buy a plot of land, you could buy a plot of land, like a virtual plot of land in the game, and you could create whatever you want on that plot of land and like sort of charge people for it. So I can sort of see something like that happening. And like all of this is run off of crypto. So like the stuff that you like the money that you're generating in the game, you're then able to take it and then exchange it for other crypto, exchange it for actual money. Hey guys.
Right, so it's like
that's-
in-game currency that has real life application.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, which is kind of like, I mean, people seem to think that esports are the only avenue to bring young gamers into a position, a financially gaining position. but you could also do it like that, where money and resources in games can be traded for money that can be used in the real world. Like that sounds honestly great to me. It sounds like a level up, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to be amazed, ask any, like, if you have like a little niece, if you have like any like small children, like if you have friends that have small children, ask them about Roblox and like explaining Roblox to you. Like, it is nuts.
Yeah, Roblox is a culture. Roblox is a whole thing for sure. Same with Neopets, but that's a long story.
Wow, Neopets.
Oh man.
It's still going somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah, but that's the conversation. I think it's sort of, it's good to sort of sit back and sort of like talk about this stuff. That's why I love doing the show. That's why I love having Herb. You're an encyclopedia of knowledge. Like,
Yes.
it's amazing. But
Thank you.
we're gonna go ahead and roll out the red carpet for the episode. That is episode 108.
Cool.
Herb, you got anything you want to shout out?
Well, all right. On social media in general, you can find me at Gamemaster Herb, or at Three Bears Gaming. Many nights, very frequently, either me or one of my hubbies. Three Bears Gaming is Three Bears Gayming. On Twitch, we also have Twitter and Instagram and all that. I just started a radio show called Wavelength. It's all anime, video game music, and just music and cool shit that I dig that I feel like should be played on FM, because FM isn't that interesting. So I'm taking it upon myself to try and fix that. Right this second, I still don't have a clear focus on exactly when I'm gonna start doing events again, but I'm not out of the game. I just think after this whole past year and everything that's happened to everybody, I'm just kind of rethinking a lot of things. And when I'm ready again, it's going to be like a whole different ballgame. I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like if anybody's tuning in to see me, the number one question I've gotten all the pandemic is, when are you going to come back and do events? When are you going to come back and do events? So when the time's right, that's all I can say. Chris, I just want to say I really appreciate you for always including me. All of y'all, I really appreciate you for including me. And just for being interested in, hearing some old dude talk about games. Because I feel like I talk about old games like in the same way as if they're new, and to most people that's not the case. But I appreciate all that very, very much. And Chris, do not stop being positive and uplifting. Like, don't ever let that get you down. Take breaks if you have to or whatever, but like reading your stories and checking in on what you're thinking and what you're feeling consistently motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing. So I just want to say thank you for that.
That like helps me, and like it gives me like more power to do it. So y'all heard it. To check out my story tomorrow. It's about to be a banger.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But all right, Rod, James, what you got to say to the people?
All right. So if you like what you've heard, definitely check us out on our podcast. Any podcast streaming app that you have, we're pretty much everywhere. Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music is great, or Apple Podcasts, I should say. I always do that. Apple Podcasts. It really helps if you go check us out there, subscribe, leave a comment for us. It really helps with our visibility. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Herb. It's always a pleasure, sir. You're part of the Should I Play That fam. So
Yes,
thank you.
indeed.
Thank you so much for that. I this is what, like episode 5 or 6 that I've been on or something? It's been a bunch now.
I feel like more, but I could be wrong. But I will say that last September was far too large of a gap. We need you to come a little bit more frequently than that.
Yeah, I can definitely do more frequently. I appreciate that.
For sure. James?
And then next time I won't have like 15 games to list. It'll be like, okay, 4.
Nah, man, we need those. That's part of the fun. I love your avalanche of games.
Exactly.
Different variety there.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I guess for me, just shout out to everybody listening at home. Once again, thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful week. Hope that all your lives are going well, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, and with that, we are out for another week. Everybody, drink your water, wear your masks. If you haven't gotten vaxxed, get that. And
Do your research though.
Do your research, but don't give in to the fear. Don't give in to the fear, because I feel like we have to work together to like not even get back to normal, but get back to a point where I just want to go to the beach, y'all. I just want to like be able to. I want to go back to the movies and not worry about anything. You know, like I said the other day, I went to All Space and like going to like hopping into like these events that night really felt like I was like out and about with the friends and going to different parties. Like it felt really is weird because like in Alt Space, like these are like cartoon characters, but like it's just the gestures and just the mannerisms of people. Like it's just I was playing and I was like, damn, I miss doing this in real life. Yeah. So y'all get your shots.
Yeah, and just in case anybody needs to hear this, like I just because we're talking about it, I just feel like I need to put this out here. You may have all sorts of feelings about the COVID vaccine. I totally get it. I understand. I've had my own feelings about it. I've had my own hesitations. But remember, when you're born, if you're born in America, you already have chickenpox, polio, all these other vaccinations. It's already a done deal. You don't really get a choice in that. That's a whole nother discussion. But the point is, you already have them. So the COVID is just another one that will help us out. And many places in the world, over 90 countries, still do not even have the first vaccine. So feel lucky.
Yeah, feel lucky. Feel lucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
see what's going on in India right now.
Oh.
Jesus.
Like, so, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Like America sucks in plenty of ways, but feel lucky anyway, because we definitely have it easier than I think we want to admit sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
Could be much worse.
always.
Y'all, did you see that it's like mutating into like another?
Oh,
I was like, is this Last of Us? This like fungus now. It was a
yeah,
black. It was like
I saw that. The
it was like a black
fungus.
fungus, and now there's a white fungus that's even more deadly.
Go
Yo.
figure. Go figure.
Well,
Alright,
I mean,
I'm out of here.
well,
Y'all
good,
need apocalypse.
good news is that to end on a positive note, that the Pfizer vaccine has been confirmed to be highly effective against these variants. So
That's what I got.
there you go.
Okay.
What about Moderna? Am I screwed?
I don't know.
Is that the one giving people heart problems?
Wait, Moderna?
I don't
It was
so.
it was Moderna or Pfizer. It was giving like males ages 18 to 30 like heart issues.
Oh shit, I'm 29. Oh,
Yep.
Shit's scary. All right, y'all.
Sorry guys, I didn't mean to scare you.
I was gonna say, wait, you're gonna end it on a positive note, please. Like, end this on a positive note.
Yes.
The
Please
sun will
get
come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that.
We keep moving. You know, humans, we've been through so many things. This is yet another thing. There will be more.
Yeah.
We just got to keep on moving and band together over it, you know?
We'll figure it out. You always do.
And I was gonna say, wait, and if you think this is crazy, wait until like aliens and stuff start showing up. But that's
Right.
like,
Already here.
that's a whole different conversation.
I'm sorry.
Let me get my tinfoil hat. But
Right.
we're gonna sign out for this week. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. Oh, that's the wrong mouse. Peace.
Boy.